Good evening. It is another one of these watch-alongs, NFC Conference Championship Edition. We just finished seeing the AFC Championship game played, so the Kansas City Chiefs will be advancing to the game at the end of the season. The expensive commercial bowl, that one. And interesting the way it worked out. Not the way that I would have expected it, to be honest. Scott, the only wager I had on that game was the over, and that in the first half, it looked okay. In the first half, it was all right. And then in the second half, it just stalled in the muck of trench warfare, dumb penalties, silly things. So that's why I wanted to get started. I wanted to chat with you a little bit for the game we just watched. I mentioned to Scott that I was going back and forth with Bobbles a little bit on. Obviously, he's the Baltimore Ravens fan. But before we get into it too much, I do want to play a clip, though. So this is a little spoiler for you guys of what's going to come up on the podcast episode, because we talked about all these games in the last couple of podcasts. We've been talking about the playoffs as they've been going along, and we do a little prediction segment where we all make our predictions. And I'm actually going to play for you a clip from the very last episode, and it'll just be, it's under a minute, and then we'll play it. And then what I want to do is I just want to get your thoughts on this one, Scott. So I don't know if you remember this specific piece or if you heard it, but I'm going to play just this clip. About 48 seconds, I'll play for you guys.
I'm going to stick with Baltimore, and hopefully our national Taylor Swift nightmare will be over.
Ooh. See, Eric, I was going to join you too, but now the national Taylor Swift nightmare, that intrigues me. The pain, the wailing.
It's been in the back.
Wailing.
It's been in the back of my mind. Would this benefit the NFL with her being at the Super Bowl? Like, I've had that in the back of my mind, and I'm like, man,
she's not a performer this year. She's been on the team.
Yeah.
You know what, Eric? I got Kansas City by 150. What's gonna happen? First play is unnecessary roughness. That's the coin toss. Unnecessary roughness, Baltimore. 50-yard penalty. Now the thing is, they didn't win by 150, but the Taylor Swift nightmare continues. That is accurate, and a lot of penalties. Like I alluded to a coin toss penalty, just having a little fun. But were there or were there not, Scott, some pretty crazy and egregious penalties that hurt Baltimore through the course of that game? Yes or no?
Well, yes, but the Ravens are known for those penalties.
I'm aware, but it all played beautifully into it. I will say, I was getting a little bit of the back and forth, and I was having some fun with it. It was there was the helmet to helmet one. It's no, he hit him in the helmet. The helmet hit him in the grill. Right. his head tilted back. The helmet popped back. I'm sorry, you're going to call that most of the time. The clothesline clubbing him in the helmet, that will also be called.
I mean, but and also the guy just straight up ran all sides and then blasted the offensive line.
That will also be called. We cannot blame the referees on this. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The referees did their job correctly on that.
The Chiefs had a lot of holding penalties on offense, so they were calling them.
Yeah. We cannot blame the officiating on this, but because there were penalties called, and a lot of the penalties that were called, most of them were, they'll get called. There's very rare times they will not be called. They were egregious enough. So Joel here's was first comment here said, told you can't bet against Mahomes. Don't love a dude's just a winner. I think Baltimore did a couple of things to help out that situation, but we'll talk about that here in a minute. Yeah. Lamar Jackson is going to have to think about that interception all season. Just a terrible decision. Yeah, it was a bad decision. This was there were some very poor decisions made and some interesting and weird things. Not just in him, but the Flowers fumble was huge. I agree. And folks will also look at the really bad taunting penalty, but in the end, they were in a position to get a touchdown during that drive. So even still, it kind of got negated by the fact that you had a chance to get a touchdown. But the other piece is, and this is I mentioned this to Scott. I agree, Tay Flowers was stupid. It was a very dumb thing to do. And the fumble was a terrible thing for it to happen. The problem is, if I take him off the field, I put him on the bench and I completely negate him, there was literally no Baltimore offense to speak of. He was the only receiver who's making any catches and gaining any yards. So the problem is, even though he made some dumb plays, he was the only one making any plays, dumb or otherwise.
Well, the fumble is him trying to make a play. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
He reached them out trying to make a play. They were struggling to get in the end zone. I mean, their other touchdown was set up by Lamar running for his life, and the guy running down the field, and he threw it up. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that you can't fault a guy for trying to make a play. So
yeah, I don't think with this game it's going to be one or two things. I think there were a lot of things that went wrong for Baltimore, and that's one of the things that I was mentioning. One of the key pieces was that Bubbles was mentioning. They got away from the run game, which is their game throughout the course of the year, which I agree. But I just think, unless what I mentioned to Scott as well, as I said, unless the coaching staff just suddenly became stupid, which is possible. Coaching staff suddenly lose their mind in the playoffs. That does happen. But unless they became stupid, they felt uncomfortable. And when things didn't work early, they just kind of got away from it, which is the old Bill Belichick, playbook. That's like, I'm going to take away something you're comfortable with. And if you can't adapt, then all right, the field is going to start tilting in my favor and I win. He did that for years. Effectively.
Well, I think the huge thing was, me and Paul both were talking last week.
Mm-hmm.
Might have been after the show. I can't remember it all. It was a blur. It was like, what's going on in Orlando, Don, Phil, Zach, what's up? But I think Lamar with his legs is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to quarterbacking, he has issues, and that's what Kansas City made him do. By blitzing all the time, they're wanting to make quick reads, get the ball out, and he didn't do it. And that's why in the second half, they didn't do squat so late.
It's almost like Kansas City was coached properly and decided, we're going to make you. They basically decided, from the Kansas City perspective, they said, whether you like Lamar or you don't like Lamar, whether you feel like he can throw the thing is, the guy has a good arm.
Yeah.
But sometimes it becomes inaccurate. But the reality is there's plenty of inaccurate quarterbacks that are worse.
That first throw he made, oh my God, he threw that thing a long ways while running.
But the thing about it is that Kansas City made one of the classic decisions of a defense. They said, we would rather see you throw for 350 yards if you can, beat us that way if you can. Mm-hmm. And the answer seemed to be no, he can't. Not in this scenario, not in this situation, not in this game. And they were like, great, we'd rather you keep throwing. If you want to keep throwing, this is not working out for you, keep throwing. The fact that they threw on the 3rd and 1, that's the one I referenced to you, Scott. They chose to throw on a third. Now it worked, but it's like, that means you're very uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. Sorry, I say that didn't work, but they got the 4th down conversion. The point is, they were not comfortable on 3rd and 1. They didn't feel like it was running down.
Well, later in the game, they did have to throw on a 3rd and short. The guy turned around, sat down on the field, and threw it to him. The other thing is they did throw up a stat, which I felt was pretty interesting. While I was talking to my dad, was because me and my dad was having the same discussion about Lamar running and being a great athlete at the quarterback position. Sure. Is he was averaging almost 94 yards in the playoffs, rushing the football in all of his playoffs games. Mm-hmm. So right there tells you that's a huge part of it. I mean, did you see the first down they got where they were in the Wildcat, but it was him actually getting the ball and how they ran it? He paused and waited for a hole over to the right and was gone for 20 yards. I was like, that is where Lamar is at his greatness. If he could just get I think, so Mahomes' first touchdown was to Kelsey's back shoulder, and he threw in a 50-50 situation to Kelsey. I don't think Lamar's not at that place yet. He tries to wait for the guy to be open before he throws it, which it works with some, but sometimes you just have to throw it to where your guy's got a chance or to windows. And I don't know if he's that quarterback. And that's why we had that discussion last week. With me, I don't know. When first thing you tell me when somebody says he's a great quarterback, and the first thing you do to back it up is tell me his rushing yardage, I have a different definition of what a quarterback should be.
No, sure. I think it's one of those things where, look, I don't mind the concept of it, but then the reality was that Baltimore built their offense around kind of what Lamar can do. Mm-hmm. But the truth is, you still need to be able to play. Now we see it with the playoffs. You still need to be able to make that adjustment when the other team decides. Like I said, in this situation, it seemed like for the most part, Kansas City said, "Okay, we want to see you throw and beat us." Mm-hmm. That is what we've decided. We decided we're going to make it. You're not saying you'll never get a runoff, but we're going to make it very difficult to the point that you very clearly feel like at some point, in order to get the thing going, you're going to start feeling like you have to throw. And we feel more comfortable with you throwing. So we're going to make it so that you have to. And then if you do that, if for some reason Lamar had been on target, hitting people in stride and things are going off, then Kansas City would have been forced to adapt.
Mhm.
But as it was, they're like, well, okay, it's not working. Well, then keep throwing. We'll let you keep throwing as long as you want. We prefer our thrower versus yours. So if we're going to play that kind of game, we feel like we have the advantage.
And like I said, and Romo brought it up. You know, they kept trying to go vertical when they should have been. The short passing game was working for them.
Sure.
And they kind of got away. They kept trying to go vertical in those situations. And Joel, you're exactly right. I mean, I'm just trying to be gracious to a young man and his fans. You know, hopefully he gets it right. Right. Yeah, you're right, Paul. Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of the point that I was making, is that as bad as the Flowers' mental miscues were, I'm like, okay, so then great. Who else do you want him to throw? It's not like Baltimore said, oh, you have to throw to Flowers. You know, he's making some dumb decisions, but keep throwing to him anyway. It's like somebody else get open. Anybody else get open, and then Lamar can spread the ball. Guess what? For whatever limitations he has throwing the ball, if guys are getting open and he can spread the ball around, you're forcing Kansas City to have to adjust to that. But if they know they can keep it so that, yeah, you've got one guy who's open and he's the only guy who's making catches. So I don't know what to tell you at that point.
All right.
Bob Jackson nailed those Romo predictions. I definitely want to chat a little bit on that through the course of it. I'll touch it. I went over to my buddy's place and we sat there and watched it.
Oh, that's how you watched it? Is good. You went over to someone's house? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we had a little bit of fun with that. It was a good time. I got to be honest though, with the men's rumble started to bore me, and after a while, I amused myself by finding comps for different entrants as they came in. I've decided that Ivar from the Viking Raiders is Fat Berserker. If you guys go look up the Berserker, and then go look at him, and then imagine if he came down to the ring and was like Husk, Husk, Husk. I was like, the Berserker let himself go, man. It's like, my friend, you need to go on a diet plan.
So was there any? So in the females, Cahill, what came out, she made her.
Yeah, Jade Cargill, yeah.
And then is that what name she's going by?
She's Jade Cargill, so yeah.
Okay. And then Jordan from the Impact Women's Champion.
Jordan Grace, yeah.
So Impact or TNA and them are having.
It is TNA now again. They've rebranded back.
Right. TNA and them are having an agreement now, from what I understand.
So if you remember, the Mickey James was in last year's. So they have done
but I
that
just
kind
thought
of
they, was like a one-off, like, oh, she was an ex.
No, I agree. From what I heard because they do their post pay-per-view press conferences now where people ask, because they'll say like, okay, so why was Jordan Grace here? And they basically said that they were able to come to an agreement. They said they wanted to be able to bring some people in to add a little variety to the thing, and they were willing to do it. They were agreeable to it. I think from TNA's perspective, it makes all the sense in the world, because much like the Mickey James deal, they acknowledged her championship, and it worked into the Naomi thing because they were able to say that she had won the TNA championship. And then they were able to say Jordan Grace is the one who beat her so instantly you've given credibility to somebody outside of the company that the audience may not be familiar with. So the commentators are actually able to talk her up and say, hey, yeah, she's the champion of this. And Naomi, who you're familiar with, she was the champion there. And this person beat her for that championship.
So did she get a pop at all? Did anybody know who she was?
I think she got some reaction from some folks because I think part of it is that the theme music is very distinctive, with little Scott Steiner ambulance music off the top that she's got going on with the thing. But the thing is, she also looks very different than a lot of the other ones. And she was given a lot. Once she got down to the ring, like obviously you look at her, she looks very different in the sense that she's more like a little bodybuilder type. But then she goes in there and does a bunch of power moves against so they gave her a lot. They actually gave her a lot, and they let her be in the Rumble for a little bit before they got rid of her. And it was, Bianca Belair, one of their big stars, who was the one who actually eliminated her. It wasn't just some random elimination. They gave her a good elimination against somebody good.
And one of the highlights I thought was pretty awesome was her and Cahill pressing two different women as they faced off against each other in the center of the ring.
That's right.
Yeah, that's why I asked Paul, because usually WWE fans are only WWE fans, and the other promotions are usually wrestling fans. That's why I asked did she get much of a pop? Because
I think to be honest,
I love her. I think she's great. I've been watching a lot of her catching up with her indie stuff when she was a little bit more pudgier in her younger days. but she was still very good.
You mean
I
before
didn't
she found
realize-
vitamins and prayer, Scott? Vitamins and prayer?
Yeah, until I didn't realize how short she was until I saw the pictures of her with Bailey and Naomi were coming on, and I was like, man, she is short, because I didn't realize how short she was.
Yeah. Yeah, they play up the powerhouse angle, which works well for her. And like I said, she looked distinctive enough. I will say that the majority of the crowd actually for that Rumble, that crowd was actually pretty shitty for the majority of it. And like I said, the first
And that's
half
the
basically
WrestleMania kickoff, right? I mean, that's
it's pretty bad. Yeah, but I'll say this: it's the majority of the women's Rumble, like the first half or 2/3, was very quiet. Because for everybody, like for the most part, like Naomi's return was okay, did all right. Obviously, no one really cares about Natalia at this point. She's there, she's very good, but like the audience is used to her, so she's part of the furniture. They just don't react. But the majority of the entrants in the first half of the Rumble for the women, they didn't react. It wasn't until you got into the 20s when the Becky Lynches and those folks started entering in that they started getting a little bit of reaction. And then obviously the end of the Rumble, by the time you were done, they were starting to get a good reaction. And Bailey was a favorite. Like she got a good reaction when she was coming out, and when it looked like she had a chance, and then when she won, the crowd was interested in the Bailey story continuing. So
yeah, it looked like the crowd was into that. And so is she going to wrestle? Is this the end of her and Damage Control, or is this she going to wrestle? What's her face at Russell?
So Scott, I'll put it this way: the at the moment, it obviously in WWE parlance, it's left open. She's allowed to choose, but the reality is that we've got a bigger storyline here inside of that as well. She's still in Damage Control, but now you have time for Damage Control to betray her. And for this to become a reason for her to go after Io Sky, because they've already planted the seeds of this. She didn't get any help. She won on her own. She ended up winning without any assistance. But now Io Sky is there with holding a championship. You know, the whole time Bailey had been saying she would win the Royal Rumble and she would face off against Rhea Ripley. She said that. However, she hasn't declared. Well, you know, from storyline perspective, what if Io gets a little bit nervous? What if she doesn't want to take the chance? What if they want to take her out just to make sure? Yeah. So there's a very simple storyline way, and Scott, they've got about 2 months, because I think we got Elimination Chamber coming up. I expect Rhea Ripley to defend her championship there in her home country in Australia, but you could very easily do Nia Jax or Becky Lynch. Most likely Nia Jax would be my guess, and then Becky Lynch wins Elimination Chamber and faces Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania, and then you got the two names there that you can put as one of the marquees, and then Bailey can face Io for the other championship.
Yeah, because one of the rumors is the return of Bailey the Hugger.
That's a very dumb rumor. There's no point in going.
Well,
that far.
I think they wanted to
face without having to go all the way back.
Right, and I think that was the thing. And her, and I was like, well, she could, because she won without help last night.
Also, but like I said, she can be a face while still having elements of the character she has now built. Plus, she's already killed the inflatable buddies. They're dead, Scott. She killed them.
I don't think it's supposed to be that far back, but you know what I'm saying, like her going face.
Yeah, I think the theme music she's got can stay where it is, because it's a good theme song, regardless. Like, it doesn't really matter. She can keep her current theme song. I think a lot of her gear will still be very similar to what she's doing now, because I think it fits with what she's doing. I don't think she's going to revert all the way back, but it's very easy now because the audience seems to be behind it. So you can make the adjustment and just be like, okay, she won't be like hugging everybody, but she just tweaks it a little bit and just acknowledges the crowd a little bit more. That's all you got to do. That's it. Just small adjustment. And that's all it would take.
My first take on the game tonight is I like the Lions in the all white. I like that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, in the all white? Yeah. Zach here says, I heard a rumor. Eric's sponsoring the like button all evening as usual rate. Oh, it's the NFC Championship. We bumped up the rate. But you're right about the first part. Definitely.
All Mayo all the time, just like New England.
So now let me get synced up here. With you on the timing, Scott. So I just saw the kickoff. So I don't know if what's going on in your feed.
Hopefully I just keep watching Aaron Andrews and this would be the perfect feed. But
okay, so you're a couple of seconds behind me still. Okay. All right. Fair enough. No, that lets me know though, so I won't spoil too much. But as I'm watching, I can see certain things. I just want to make sure we were on coordinated, so we know what's going on with that. But otherwise, how's the weekend treating you? How's it been?
All right. Worked over a little bit again yesterday, and did my thing with my dad today. Or talked about the Hall of Fame and some of the signings this week.
Oh, good. Okay.
And that's about it. Sold a couple of cards. Trying to straighten my desk up. Do some things.
That'll work. Did you so I don't want to spoil your podcast, but you can check out on Big Scott's channel. He and his dad talk different topics. They've got a show they put together weekly, so they hang out and chat about it. So anything struck you about the Hall of Famers that they announced? For me, a lot of those guys, I like them. They're good players. It doesn't change my feeling about any of them, but I'm happy for them. That's nice for them.
We made the point. I made the point. He agreed that this year Hall of Fame class doesn't make you get too excited. There's no like next year you have Ichiro. You don't have.
Oh yeah, that'll be a good one. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's kind of a bland class, but I was shocked that Maurer got in. Okay. I'm glad he got in. Don't get me wrong. I think he's a great ambassador for the game. And I think what he batting 306 career and catching for a while, winning batting titles as a catcher. But him cutting his catching career short, to me, you have to weigh his first baseman stats a little differently. And that's where, and my dad didn't think so. He thought it was stats or stats, but.
Well, I think part of it though is that so I think you touched on it a little bit on your last live stream as well. But look, I'll throw this at you. You got to remember all the batting titles he won were as a catcher.
Right.
Now and then I think his MVP was as a catcher. So like his biggest accomplishments were in a tougher position.
I agree.
And he switched positions not because he couldn't play anymore. It was concussions. It was a health related thing. Otherwise, he has to retire on the spot. Basically, like it's
I 100% playing, agree, but he still switched. And I mean, as a catcher, he won the
MVP.
Silver Slugger, Gold Glove, Platinum Glove.
Good play for Detroit here coming up. So I want to get your take on it here in a second.
That's a good reverse right there. I hate that play, but it worked to the house.
Yep.
Nice. I hate that play, but it worked. Because I hate
the play. The people of Detroit need something to riot over, Scott. They can riot in joy instead of rioting in anger.
And Adrian Beltre getting in was not a big that didn't surprise anybody. What surprised me was the percentage he got was so high. But I was happy about it, and but yeah, it was no big surprises.
That's fair. Here, I just want to make sure we cover. We're all up to date now. Perfect. Nailed it, Scott. We're adding interactivity as we speak.
That's right.
So I make sure I did mention here. Good evening, Yannick. Let me scroll through here. San Francisco plays like this all game. They'll get embarrassed. So remember, y'all. Remember last week? When Carlos was having a good time drinking all his drinks, but in the course of having a good time drinking all his drinks, he did also mention straight out, San Francisco cannot repeat the game they played against Green Bay because Detroit even capitalizes on 5% of the opportunities that the Purdy party provided. That wouldn't be good for San Francisco.
I don't even think Detroit's thrown a pass yet, have they?
I think it was a couple of run plays, yeah.
Yeah, it was 3 run plays, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, if you keep doing that, and that's how you beat them. I mean,
to be clear, Detroit this year with the personnel they have and the way they are, this team is a lot. The Green Bay was supposed to be in a rebuild year. Mm-hmm. They overperformed and they did very well and they improved through the course of the year, but they're a very young team. This Detroit team has players with some experience and they have an opportunity. And if they want to seize the opportunity, this is the moment. This year is an opportunity for you because even Kansas City, Baltimore made a lot of mistakes. We talked about it earlier here a little bit, but just to be clear, that is not the old Kansas City the last couple of years. That Kansas City is also in a weakened state relative. They do. It's not like they ran away with all Baltimore's mistakes. Kansas City didn't run away from them. They kept them in the game. They were within 10-point striking distance for a long time in that game.
Didn't it feel like Kansas City kind of got really, really conservative there in the second half of the third quarter?
I think they realized where they were, though, Scott. I really don't think they just don't have the ability to hit the pedal down. And if they could have put up 40 on them and just gotten away from them, they would have tried. I just don't think they had. They're like Travis Kelce is taking a lot of hits. He's slowing down. But he was still making plays. So they're like, you know what? Right now we're playing well. We're controlling the ball. We're controlling time of possession. Let's just keep it going. If all of a sudden Baltimore figures something out, we'll try to turn it on again. But for the most part, they're like, let's just get out of here as healthy as we can. That's what we're trying to do.
Well, I know Kelce was like 11 for they had 11 throws to him. He had 11 catches.
Yeah, no, for sure. They were being efficient. So to your point, Scott, they were being very efficient with the way they were doing their offense. But I think they realized their own limitation. Andy Reid is a very smart coach. He understands where his team is at right now, and they were not trying to hit home run balls. They were saying like, no, we'll march down the field, we'll eat clock, we'll take our time.
They didn't have drops today.
Yeah, they were clean. They played a clean game.
That was the main. I was like, wow, they're not dropping a football. Baltimore's in trouble.
And that's I think what they realized is that's all they needed to do to beat Baltimore if Baltimore wasn't going to adjust, and they never did.
Well, I mean, Baltimore's defense was still good. I mean, it was 17-7 forever. That's not like you said. I mean, your offense has to score, and Baltimore's offense did not move the football.
Yeah, and in the end, Kansas City won the turnover battle. That's a big deal. You got the time of possession. You're winning the turnover battle. You're doing all the little things that you want to see. Kansas City earned it. Fair value to them. They won. Plus, of course, as soon as Eric and Bobbles made the critical mistake of telling me of the Taylor Swift angle and making me think about it a little bit. Oh, wait, hold on. This is way more entertaining for the amount of complaining, Scott. No, Taylor Swift the Super Bowl. Why? I'm telling you.
Well, my dad said he's tired of the whole, and I was like, well, you hate her or whatever. To me, it's what's up. Kansas City was more for me the way Mahomes acted during the year. Because the Taylor Swift thing for NFL has brought a bunch of normies to the NFL, even if it's just a casual fan that buys the jersey because they're Swifties or whatever they're called. You'll
have to ask Eric. He's the subject matter expert on it.
I know one of my best friend's wife and her twin sister own a female clothing line for the NFL, and their sales have boomed all the way across, not just Chiefs, everybody.
I have no doubt about that. Yeah, I believe it. That I believe.
Yeah. Because they make, more feminine stuff, purses and boots and jackets.
Let's just see here. Let's see. It should be interesting. So Eric was saying, how do I root for both teams to win tonight? You got to believe in your imagination, Eric.
I've been noticing too, this game is already Purdy's got a ball batted down. He had several last week batted down.
Yep. He can't use the rain this time, though. He better be a little cleaner in his throws because there's no rain here. He can't use that excuse this time.
Difference this week. Yeah, it's beautiful there this week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so conditions should not be a problem for these guys. Whatever they're going to do, it's going to be based on execution of the plays. So we'll have to see. That was not a good throw that I'm going to see. You'll see one in a moment, and you'll be able to tell what I'm saying. That throw I wasn't super impressed with. But yeah, it goes back to what we said earlier here. Here you go. Scott, I just ordered one of those bedazzled Chiefs jackets for you. Well, did you order yourself a matching purse? Come on, Eric. You need to put your Reggie Lemon somewhere. Think about it.
They sell them.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. Eric's probably going to get a volume discount.
They're in the I guess they've already opened up the NFL shop at the Super Bowl because they were there this past week.
Nice.
At the shop.
So I think overall, though, the biggest thing is that the first The first game disappointed me because once the offense is shut down and nobody was really able to get anything going.
Oof.
You seeing the Samuel one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He got up.
He did. But I like it for Detroit. Hit him. If you're going to be Detroit, hit him.
Well,
Make him uncomfortable.
So that's the difference in the new rule. He couldn't go through and go all the way through him, right? Because then it would have been a penalty. So it looks bad at the beginning, but he let him go. He didn't drive him to the ground.
Yep. I like it. I think it was fair. It was a fair no flag. Doesn't need it.
Yep.
It was a good clean hit.
That's
Good clean hit.
That's what they want you. That's what they wanted him to do.
Yep. Zach here says, Eric gets so emotional about his 12 shift. I know. It was just too much. And he said, I almost gave them one. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, even like the women at work that don't watch sports are talking about the Chiefs.
Mhm.
They're not talking about the games necessarily. They're talking about Taylor Swift and all this other stuff, but that's what the NFL wants. So the NFL's, they're going to show her 48 times a game. You just got to get used to it.
Well, that's the thing. The NFL aren't stupid. Look, they're a marketing machine, yes, but they're sitting there like it's one of the old conversations that people used to have about different brands and catering towards one thing or the other. Here's the thing. It's the Michael Jordan line about his shoes, where he would say Republicans buy shoes too. His point being, for the purposes of my brand, I'm not discriminating against anybody. I want all of you to buy the shoes. So if you've got 50% of the population and you can get a couple more percentage points, that's more money in your pocket. The guys that are going to watch the NFL are going to watch the NFL. But if you can get a few more ladies to watch because they want to see Taylor Swift sightings, then that's what you're going to give them.
Right. I mean, it's no different than when Aaron Rodgers was dating all of his women and Tony Romo. I mean, but Taylor Swift is just a little bit bigger person.
Well, she is now, especially. She's one of the bigger stars they've got going on in name recognition. So Zach, that's for you. You can shut up Eric back. I'll leave it for you gentlemen to figure that part out. Also, as we're talking, I'm setting up a snipe for Brett Favre. Very important that I set my snipes.
I got some PWCC stuff going on tonight.
Oh yeah, I forgot that is tonight. Anything good?
Not really. I did do what I don't usually do, and I bid on some vintage, some Roberto Clemente stuff.
Right.
We'll see. It looks good. I mean, it had a couple of them that were really bad off center, and I stayed away from them. But
I don't know if you saw, Scott, though. They have a WWE collection tab now
on PWCC.
Yep, it literally says WWE collection, and it's a little toggle you can hit, and it'll show WWE cards specifically filtered.
Is it all wrestling or just WWE?
I think it's just WWE. I'm pretty sure it's WWE. Yeah,
I know. So
it literally
like
says WWE collection.
One of I think Dave and Adams says have a WWE tab, but it's got AEW stuff under it too.
Yeah, as far as I can tell, it shows just WWE stuff because I'm saying Undertaker, Alexa Bliss. There's one actually that I saw that was interesting. I don't want to spoil it, but maybe I'll make a play. We'll see. Hey, Paul, how's it going?
What's going on, fellas? How are you? What's up?
Not too bad. Not too bad. So I know the first game played into your narrative.
Game,
good.
Yeah, so Lamar Jackson can't really throw. Like I know that some of it's on the receivers.
See, Scott, that's what I was waiting on. I was setting Paul up because this was his moment. Somewhere of this is Bobbles is punching the air.
Yeah, eventually I'm going to have to face the music on that one, so I don't need to completely insult him. But yeah.
I do think though that I think it. So look, here's the thing. In the spirit of being as honest as we can be about it, I think though it's very telling. I don't care what Lamar Jackson was doing. The fact that they were not comfortable enough to try to run on 3rd and 1 on the one drive, and the fact that they were not able to really get anybody else open. Tay Flowers, for all his mistakes, was really the only guy making any catches or any plays. So it's like it's somebody else needs to. If somebody else gets open, give him some options. At least give him a few people to throw to, and then maybe he can figure out and make a couple plays.
Yeah, I drafted Flowers in a bunch of my fantasy leagues, dynasty leagues, thinking
Statistically,
that the only
go ahead.
receiver, and that completely worked out.
Yeah. The funny thing is, for all the issues, again, he'll be scapegoated by a lot of folks. But I'm like, guys, go take a look at your list of receivers. He's the only one who cracked 100 yards. There was literally nobody else doing anything. So, and the running game wasn't working. It's like, do you want to get a shutout? Because there's nothing else happening.
That fumble to me is him trying to make a play.
True.
And his players over there all hugged him and everything because they knew it. It was such a struggle for him, and he was trying to make a play.
I don't think the coaches did too much to bail those guys out either.
Yeah, it was a bad coach play call. Them and the Eagles ought to get together and talk a little bit.
Combine forces, you might have one competent staff.
Yeah, I didn't really understand. I'm sitting there watching it, and I was running errands and stuff too during the game.
So I don't know if you guys see it. There's another Purdy bat down.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Isn't he like 6'2", 6'3"?
He seems to be pretty average for a quarterback. He's
Is he not? I mean, he gets so low where he throws. Yeah.
He doesn't have, I know that's an issue for Baker Mayfield because Baker Mayfield's a little shorter than the average quarterback. Right. But as far as I'm aware, Brock Purdy is pretty average size for a quarterback at this point.
That's what I thought.
6'1", but it feels generous.
Oh, but still, even if I say 6 feet, like it's not like he's a gnome and can't see over anything in the line. Maybe the arm angle's a little low. I don't know. There's something where the throw trajectory is a little lower than you expect.
And I think the defensive linemen know it because they're all getting. I mean, I know they're supposed to get their hands up, but man,
right. So we got a field goal attempt here.
Well, it must be close catching up with you.
Okay, you guys are getting the line. Hold on, I got to update my little board here. Let's see here.
Ooh.
Here you go, Scott. I got it. Boom. We started off with Detroit doing a thing, and now San Francisco did not do a thing. Dang, guys. Dang. Like I'm trying to help you out here a little bit. Turkey Cards here. Good evening. Nice hat, Big Scott. There you go.
Oh, thank you.
I like that you got it looks like you got the 87 Tops wax box there as your avatar. Nicely done. Nicely done.
Yes, that is pretty cool.
I was just amused by it. I was like, all right. But to your point from earlier, Paul, like I said, after the Green Bay game, I wasn't super impressed with San Francisco brought to the table. Now, today, they don't have the rain. They don't have the conditions. The conditions are pristine. There's really no excuse here. Like, you're at home. Conditions are perfect. You guys need to take it from Detroit. Detroit looks like they're at least playing a solid game, so they won't make the same young player mistakes necessarily. So you're going to have to actually take it from them.
Yeah, I just like watching that Hutchinson off the edge, man. He's so hungry. Love it.
Go ahead.
When Jacksonville decided that they didn't want him first overall for Walker, okay, well, this is why you guys are picking high every year.
I will say, Scott, the biggest thing for me coming out of this, Detroit plus 7.5 is feeling real good. Just saying, feeling real good.
That is a lot of points for a playoff game.
It's strong, man. Like I said, San Francisco has played well this year. I'm not taking away from them. I'm not saying no, but I'm just saying, like, that's a lot of disrespect for Detroit. A lot of disrespect.
It is. I would take 4.5 maybe. What's up, 357?
That was the big reason I like that particular play because I was like, yeah, I'll take the points. That sounds great.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
No issue there. Then I don't have to. Then I don't have to pick the winner. It can be a close game in the end, one way
What
or the
was
other.
the
based on who
over-under
wins.
on this?
The over under was, I think, in the low 50s, like 50 and a half, something like that.
What was the money line? Remember?
They actually had Detroit. So they had Detroit 4-1 for me. You could have gone Detroit money line straight up 4-1 if you wanted to be a little spicier. Like I said, for me, the points was a nice middle ground because I was like, now 7.5, I feel really good about that. That's plenty. Detroit wins outright, I win. They keep it
Right.
close, I win. And if San Francisco wins the nail biter, I still win. Gives me 3 winning outcomes. I can accept that.
And most
Yeah, that feels
championship
like
games
a
are pretty close.
Yeah. Unfortunately, in the first game, the over felt like it was going to be good, at least in the first half, and then suddenly it stalled in the second half, and they decided to go World War I trench warfare.
I think a lot of people are just voting or betting against Detroit because waiting for Detroit to be Detroit.
Yeah.
Everybody's waiting for that.
Well, that's what's happened. That's what's going to happen to Buffalo henceforth, forevermore, until they actually win the thing.
Exactly.
I said
Detroit
this year,
got that two-headed running backs, man.
Yeah,
I love it.
I just said this. I said that this year Buffalo. I felt like this year Buffalo, if they were ever going to beat Kansas City, I was like, guys, this is like the perfect conditions for you. Best opportunity. Your team is good enough. Kansas City's weakened enough, and you still got. I was like, well, then what are you going to do now? What's left? And it was wide right. so it's like, all right, you're done. Burn the Zubaz pants. There's nothing else to do. It's over.
Yeah.
I think once your snake bit that bad, it's really hard to come back from it.
They don't seem like they want to have a running game, and if you're going to be in the playoffs in the snow, you kind of need one.
I agree. Yeah. Plus, like, look, I know that the running back has been downplayed at this point. Like, people obviously don't care about the running back as much. They don't want to pay running backs. They want to like avoid it to the best of their ability. However, there is something to be said for having the option and being able to go to it, to be able to control the ball. To your point, weather. There's some situations where having that running back available and they can do a little bit of work for you is huge.
Detroit right now, if their running game is what's hurting them because they just play action and throw it to the running back. He's wide open, gets first down.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how you stop the rushers.
Williams also helps more than what it shows, just because he does have the ridiculous speed where the safety is basically forced on him. So it kind of opens up the tight end routes or the crossing routes.
Makes sense. So, folks in the chat, I'm just curious as we're watching along. Any thoughts? I know we've talked about a lot of the picks and everything. So, who you got in the game? We're in a 7-0 Detroit with the ball, trying to drive down. San Francisco missed a field goal. It was a 48-yarder. It wasn't too crazy, but it was never online. Now, I don't know if you heard, Paul, before I think it was before you came on. Scott mentioned the PWCC, and I did point out to him, like, they added a WWE collection tab, so now you can filter specifically WWE. They decided to create their own.
Nice. Yeah, they had racing off for a week or two, and then they put it right back on. I don't have anything that I think I took everything off for this week. Like,
okay.
Basically, I used them for stuff that you need the platform of eBay for. And if I can find something ridiculously cheap, then I'll buy it. If not, I'm out. There's actually first down. There's actually one non-sport item that I might poke around on, but might.
Gotcha. Makes sense. So Orlando here says Lions looking good. 357 says I took the Chiefs plus 4.5, so that was a winner for you. And then Lions plus 7.5. I'm with you on the second one. Definitely, that was a good number for me. Zach says Eric's comments are gone on my end. He blocked me or got banned. How long did you block him for? Paul?
10 minutes.
Okay. 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
All right. 35 says that all the experts picked Baltimore and San Francisco. Yeah. Well, see, all the experts did that, but if you had been watching a little earlier, there was a clip I played that the Carlos picks Kansas City for reasons of personal amusement. On paper, Baltimore made all the sense. Don't get me wrong. It made all the sense. But as soon as Eric and Bobbles introduced Schadenfreude into this, Paul, you know how I am about the Schadenfreude. I'm very militant on this matter. You introduce, wait, the anger of you people against Taylor Swift? Hold on. Kansas City in a walk. Let's go. You cannot fight these forces. Do not fight these forces.
Yeah, as somebody who listens to heavy metal, the music at that event makes me put it on mute anyways. So
Yep.
What's the difference? If it's
I
her
agree.
music or they're showing her who cares?
Yeah. Like, look, I'm not watching a halftime at all. I haven't watched any of those halftimes in years. They're a good opportunity for me to get a snack, get a bite to eat, refill my drink. I can casually come back over and watch the rest of the game. It's a nice little breather. I'm good. I'm for it. So
I flip it over and watch a Puppy Bowl.
there you go. Oh, well, you know what would have been nice, Scott? If this old school Attitude Era WWE, how about a halftime heat for old time's sake? That'd be pretty sweet. Put a match on there.
Was the halftime the NWO show that one time?
No, the halftime was what they did is I think it was The Rock and Mankind in an empty arena or something. Yeah. And it was like an empty arena match.
Yep.
And that was the halftime
for
heat.
the championship.
Yeah. Which perfectly fine. Why not? Hey, Paul, here's a good one for you. Here's about the finishing the story. Cody Rhodes does all this saying he wants to challenge Roman Reigns, and Roman Reigns faces off against some rando in a halftime heat match and loses the Universal Championship at the Super Bowl. It's like, and Cody Rhodes is like, what the fuck? The hell, man? Listen, Santino made some good points. He said he wanted to face Roman Reigns at halftime in the Super Bowl, and he won. What do you want from us? He's the Universal Champion. You can finish the story against Santino. There you go. How many times will they show Taylor Swift during the Super Bowl? What's the over-under? We're going to get that prop. Guaranteed.
I bet
Guaranteed.
Yeah. One of them will have it. Somebody will have that.
And I've got to be honest, not knowing what it is, I'm feeling the over. I don't even know what the number is. I'm feeling the over.
Every time Kelsey throws balls thrown to him.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say 9.5.
It's going to be a wacky number. I have a feeling.
Wasn't Kelsey's sister talking smack on Twitter this week or something?
I would have. Did you see the story about how Jason's wife did something without asking, and then Jason taking his shirt off was basically him going, "I don't have to ask for permission either."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they did. I think they talked about that story on their podcast. They chatted about the whole lead up to that whole. It was a viral moment. They got their thing on there, and good for him. He's living his best life. He's in the box, just having some fun, and his brother's playing the game. That's fine. And I'll be honest, I don't think most of the people in that booth gave a crap. At this point, now they're used to, now with the camera going to the freaking booth so many times. Go look at it during that Kansas City game. You honestly think everybody in there, every single time Kansas City does it, they're like, yeah, because they don't know a camera's watching. Scott, it's like, you better, better, with some passion.
You better
camera's
go
coming
nuts.
over, you better cheer.
Oh yeah, they know.
Yeah.
Or they're watching the sadness if it's the other way.
Exactly. But I think at this point, Paul, almost everybody, if there is a celebrity or celebrities inside the press box, or sorry, not press box, but the box, the luxury suite, then they know the camera's going to go over 100 times. So they're aware. So if they're looking in that direction at whatever is about to happen, they're going to react a little stronger than they would. If it was just watching the game, maybe they clap, do a couple of high fives, whatever. But as soon as it's like this, they're like, wait, hold on. What'd you do? I was like, I grabbed some extra caffeine. The score. Yeah. 3 seconds ago, they were just looking at their phone scrolling. Everybody knows how this game is played. Just saying.
I'm sure their, publicist or whatever is like, yeah, y'all, she's gonna come up here. Y'all better look good.
Yep. Be ready, man. Be ready. Bob Jackson says, I had to pause for a bit. Jordan Grace got a pretty good sized pop when she came out. Because, like I said, considering most of the audience wasn't familiar with her at all, and the commentator, like I said, I feel like the TNA agreement they got was a good one for TNA, especially because the commentators acknowledged her championship, acknowledged that she beat Naomi to win said championship, and put her over a little bit, gave her some spots in the match, and she got to be in there for a little bit of time before they eliminated her. And the person eliminated her was Bianca Belair, who is somebody right at the top of their food chain. It wasn't just some rando that threw her over. That's pretty good. For TNA, that's about as good a commercial as they've gotten in years.
Yep. And that was pretty cool of them. So none of the men from TNA were there?
Nope.
Just
Yep. This is the second time now because Scott D'Amore over there at TNA, though, understand, like he did the thing with Kenny Omega and stuff. Like at this point, they will work with anybody who has a platform who will work with them. They're happy to do it.
Like NWA is on CW on Tuesday nights.
Yep. But NWA, Billy Corgan has almost run his own company to the ground. It's a shame because for a little while they were doing some good stuff. I actually like some of the stuff they were doing.
Well, that Halloween thing
up.
almost screwed up everything with CW, from what I understand.
It was one dumb thing after another with these guys.
Yeah.
They missed out. Like they had a lot of good little things going, and they had some talent go through there. They had some talent that was going there briefly. NFL loves Taylor Swift, no doubt. They also screwed up the time so bad. The number one only had 50 seconds by the time number 30 came out. Yeah, that's right.
I watched the thing on LA Knight when he was there. Well, of course, he wasn't LA Knight, whatever his name was there. But he was doing the same shtick, but they wouldn't push him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it would have been pretty cool to see somebody like Moose in the Rumble. I agree. That would have been pretty solid.
But they have a limited number of females that can fill up the 30. And you can't just sit there and say, hey, it's going to be all the NXT ones.
Mm-hmm.
Like with the men, because you probably have, 25 qualified men that you want to see, but you probably only have 15 or 20 women. So it's like, all right, the minor league roster gets one of them, and legends get one, and Grace gets a spot. Well, okay.
Well, I think though that there's a few more there. I went through a quick inventory as they were winding down the numbers. There are a few more they could have put in there if they wanted to. They could have used it. Blair Davenport, who's basically main roster ready already, if they really wanted to. There's a few NXT ones who have already been around and not long enough. They could have done Lyra Valkyria if they really wanted to. She would have been okay. And for the men, they literally wasted a spot on McAfee. I assume that was like the Brock Lesnar spot or something, because they literally had McAfee never even looked like he even had gear. He was like, he was never going to do shit. He got in there and was like, all right, I'm getting out.
That was actually Braun Breaker. Because if you watch the spots that he gets, he throws guys over, he does it fast, and yada yada yada. You don't want your minor league throwing out your major league, but because they were so far planned, and because they had the Slim Jim thing happen, they're like, all right, who's big on the minor leagues? All right, Lesnar's out and you're in. Like, these are your spots.
Yeah, I think though they're like I said, there are a few, because in the men's rumble, they had Baron Corbin. Right now, Baron Corbin's doing the thing with Braun Breaker in NXT, so Baron Corbin was around. Again, it was the Pat McAfee spot. It's not like it was a critical thing in the Rumble, like it was going to make a big difference one way or the other. But he could have literally just gone in there to take up the spot if they just needed to fill it. It just depended on what they were needing to do.
They didn't have a Legends spot, though. So if you consider the one random legend who gets thrown out, I don't necessarily feel that saying McAfee gets in and gets out right away. Okay. I don't like
I
it.
would look if you're going to do that spot, the obvious move to me is Aaron Rodgers. You get him in there. He comes in, lights go out because we got to make him comfortable as he gets to the ring. So your lights go out. And then, starts off in the darkness. And then he comes in as the anti-vaxxer. He's got his own gimmick and everything. He's good to go. Carlos, are you going to the NHL All-Star game next weekend? No. Is the All-Star game around? I can't remember. Let me see. Where do they put the All-Star game? All-Star game.
Toronto, I assume.
Yeah. Oh, it is Toronto. Yeah. No, the answer's still no. But good for them. I actually had no idea. Completely forgot about it. Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, it was Toronto. No, my bad. For some reason, but when you said it, I was like, is it Toronto? I guess it is. Yeah. No. I think I would love it if they had done the old thing they did. And I haven't heard about it at all, so I'm guessing they're not doing it. They had the Fan Fest, and the Fan Fest actually had a card show combined to it last time around. If they did that, that'd be pretty cool. But as far as I haven't heard one word about it, so it kind of surprises me if they're not doing a Fan Fest of some kind. Because those would be all right.
They ought to just do what football's doing. Have do the who can skate the fastest, who's got the hardest shot, and all that stuff.
The skills competition. Yeah, the skills competition's there. That always happens.
Yeah, but I mean, the game's going to be 21-19, and
that's why they made it the 3x3 challenge.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, okay. It looks like they do have a fanfare going on. So, okay, cool. So, good to know they're promoting it locally because I honestly didn't hear a damn thing about it. Okay. Let's see here. Mascot Showdown, schedule of events. What do you guys got going on? Let's see. Red carpet, dodgeball. Oh, man. All right. Looks like pretty lame events. Not anything interesting. Okay, that's pretty much trash. Okay, great. Good to know. Yeah. It's like hockey's not even real, Bob. Only Eric believes in hockey. It's not a thing. Come on. That's like asking me if I'm going to the cyclocross championship.
McCaffrey's so good. He does stuff that he wishes he could have.
So what you're saying, Scott, is the parlay of McCaffrey, 30 yards in each half is good for you.
Oh yeah,
that was a parlay that was available. 30 yards in each half.
Really?
Yeah.
The only way it's going to stop that if he gets hurt.
It was like the odds on that? Minus like 500. It
was like 1.6 to 1. Wasn't too bad.
Really?
Yeah, it was pretty good. Ask FanDuel, man. I'm going off the FanDuel one was the ones that I was looking at. So that would have been like a day or two ago, before the game and everything. So they had a bunch of different little props depending on the players and first half, second half, et cetera, et cetera.
I thought they brought Rathman back there for a minute.
Was that receiving or rushing or?
I believe it was rushing. I have to see if I can find it.
Rushing, I can see, but just.
Yeah, I think with the number, I would think it's rushing. Because if you're combining the two, you'd go higher.
Yeah.
But let me see here. See if I can see if any of them are still up. All right, so San Francisco has now done a thing.
McCaffrey.
Try to add gimmicks to already gimmick events. Yeah. It's mostly for the kids, Bob. It's mostly for the kids. I think the All-Star game is best served for the kids. That's why I reference that old one, the last one. But the last one was all the way back in 2000. It was 24 years ago. So, it's been a long time. But back then, I liked what they were doing back then. We'll have to see.
So I was looking through PWCC this week, alliances here they had. And I bet you there's 50 to 60 different Wander Franco cards out there being auctioned this week.
Mm-hmm.
I got bids on 45 of them.
Nice.
Starting my
Bob
own
Jackson.
PC.
Live the dream. Bob Jackson said, you said you were looking up comps. No, I was trying to think up comps. Like as people were coming in, I was trying to think like, who does this remind me of? Or what's my, so I don't know, Paul, if you heard when I was mentioning it earlier. So when Ivar of the Viking Raiders came in and I just looked at him, I looked at his gear, I looked at how he's set up. I go, it's Fat Berserker. Husk. I was like, you should have done it. If you had done it, then maybe you would have lasted longer. It would have been good for you.
Yeah.
And also, I'm afraid, my friend, both of us, we're going to have to hit the treadmill. We're going to have to lean down a little bit.
Yeah. Or it was what, Mantar or something?
And that was another one, yes. But my favorite, that was my favorite. I got to be honest. Just as soon as I saw it, I Fat Berserker, my buddy and I just started laughing because I was like, yep, we can see it. We can see it right there. And I got to be honest, I spent, to be blunt, I spent 3/4 of the men's rumble because the men's rumble really didn't engage me at all. I spent 3/4 of the time basically slandering Cody Rhodes and finding 100 different ways to slander Cody Rhodes. Basically, every time anything was mid, I just called it Cody Rhodes.
Who won the men's one? Who?
Cody Rhodes.
Cody
Mr.
Rhodes.
Mid himself. Mr. Mid himself. Only the rubber chicken can save us now. It's the only one that can prevent the story from ending. Ivar is more unmasked Mantar. All right, unmasked Mantar. I like that call out. Paul, are you going to the National again? It was a great meeting you in Chicago.
So
That was
I
from
was
Orlando.
responding in the chat here.
No problem. Mantar plus Bastion Booger. Man, that's cold. And I thought Fat Berserker was mean. Yep, there you go.
Yeah, the fact that it's 90 minutes away from here, and the fact that if I really want the spectacular, has about 50% of the vendors at the National there anyways, and the ones that aren't showing up, I have an email or a phone number or something like that, where it's not really worth it.
Makes sense.
But yes, it was fun hanging out. It always is. I will miss the dinners. I will miss heading out to hit the concerts. I will miss the freeway that's being absolutely flooded while everyone's like, trade night got rained out. I will miss that.
There you go.
I was in the darkness that night.
You were. Well, somebody had to help Aaron Rodgers with his gimmick, so hopefully you did a good job, Scott. It's important.
Is that like the darkness of outer space?
No, it was the darkness of their power went out. And it made for a good time. I like the Dream Team card.
Yeah.
What were the odds on those?
1 in 24.
Yeah, so about one per box, give or take.
Yeah,
It's not bad.
box.
Yeah, that's not
Yeah,
bad.
I just found it in a value bin. I'm like, oh, okay, I kind of like this, and yeah, man, I found a Favre refractor in a dollar bin, so I'm like, oh, sweet.
I think there's a lot. The thing is, he had so many inserts in the 90s and early 2000s because he was in everything, every set, and he dozens of inserts in every set. So a lot of it just became noise after a while. People were like, "Oh, an insert, a Favre insert." So it's like, "Oh, which set, which year, which everything." So there's like he's got like 10,000 cards in his checklist or something crazy. It's nuts.
Yeah. Like I really like Hobby Masters.
Yep.
Dax turning me on to these.
Nice.
Dollar bin. Found these two. Gold medallions. Dollar bin.
Yep.
Like, okay.
Detroit needs to stop being so cute. That was being a little too cute on that play. I got questions about that one. Zachary says that was a great night. Had no power. Hot, no power. Yeah. Favre, rookies with the Falcons, right? Yes. All of them are with Falcons. Yes. That's why if you want kind of a fun anomaly, obviously given the team that he's mostly associated with, you go look at the Stadium Club rookie card is with the Falcons. But a lot of people really like the 92 Stadium Club because that's in the Stadium Club, but it's him in a Packer uniform. So it's not a first year card, it's a second year card, but obviously it's popular because it's his first Stadium Club, following up that with his Packer uniform. It's a fun little card, and it's not expensive.
The high series 92 tops always gets a couple dollars also, just because they had to add them in late, and the rookie year stadium club, they spelled the name wrong.
That's right. Well, in fairness, Paul, they've always spelled it wrong. Like, there's a lot more syllables. I've explained it, but like, I don't think they could fit all that.
PSA actually has an FARVE also on their slabs.
Nice.
They don't mark it as UER. They don't mark it. They just FARVE.
What do you think, Scott? I like what Detroit's doing here. Like, they've been playing this first section of the game very well. I've liked a lot of what they've been doing. It's been smart.
They're using a running game and throwing short passes. I mean, doing what we said Green Bay. This is the third week we've talked about the same. And we said Detroit had the same setup as Green Bay. See if they can finish it out.
It's almost, Scott, like the game itself is not that complicated. It's the execution piece. The players have to do it, but it's not like the concepts are overly complex.
And I mean, Detroit and Green Bay's got two good running backs, and Detroit's got two good running backs. So
yep.
They're making sure that they stay ahead of the chains. Although the drive here has been a little unsuccessful at that, but
see, 2nd and 10, Bosa knows what you're doing now. That the right tackle didn't have a chance.
what is he doing?
Legit questions.
I think the right tackle thought that there was a blitz and it was going to be a hot route. So he went for just most immediate rusher, and it wasn't. Yeah, it just wasn't, and he got the sack.
Well, San Francisco. Let me see. Who is it here? Interesting.
Ooh.
Yep, that shoulder arm is messed up.
Laporta is a man. That is putting the glasses on. Laporta.
Woo!
Man, and he gave it.
Ooh, that's not square. Ooh.
Saying he's not quite even?
Yeah, that shoulder is not oof.
I thought Laporta was going to be hurt, and he got up, and he just.
I think it's a situation, Scott, where Laporta is like, well, let that be a lesson to you for next time. Don't try that.
Yeah. Holy cow.
It's like, listen, you have to punt it away, but at least send the message. Send the right lesson. Don't be trying that with me. Don't be none of that. Yep. No, he's definitely hurt. You could tell, like, he was moving. Even the way he was moving. Again, it was an arm, but even the way his whole body is moving, he's like, I just need to get to the sideline right now. Please take me to the sideline. Get me out of here. First time Super Bowl will be paid in Vegas. How crazy will that town be that weekend? It'll be nuts. Yeah, probably a lot more than the F1. The upside, though, I will say, is that the F1 also required a bunch of construction. So I don't think they're going to necessarily have to do a bunch of construction in the streets, but it's going to be messy. There's going to be a lot going on over there.
That weekend's already huge there without the game being there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have friends that go there every year.
Yep, most of the stuff will be down around the strip. Absolutely, 100%. 100%. So yeah, the traffic is going to be a madhouse, no doubt. It's going to be craziness around there. The sports books are going to be packed. during a good chunk of that time. They're packed anyway, but then you're gonna have like people watching the games and hanging out. All these different the sports bars are gonna be busy as hell. Like it's gonna be crazy.
The other bars and other entertainment facilities are going to be benefiting as well.
Oh yes, yes. Where's the question? Traditionally, so like this year it can be an exception or it can be the same, whatever the case is. So usually for the Super Bowl, how do you watch it? Do you watch it at home, just at home? Do you go to somebody's place, or do you go to the bar, or where do you watch the game normally?
It depends on the snow around here.
Mm-hmm.
Normally friends, but we've had a couple of them the last 5 years where there's 6 inches of new snow. So you don't leave the house.
Fair.
When I was living back home in Virginia, usually somebody was having a get together. Usually did that. When I moved to Iowa, I was either working or off, and I was just at home watching or at work watching it. So I'll probably just be sitting here because I really don't care about it other than it being the Super Bowl.
That's pretty much it, yeah.
And the 3 teams that are left, I just don't really care about. So,
well, I had that problem. I've watched all the Super Bowls. I want to say the first one that I actually sat down and watched was 91. That was the first one I actually watched. Not super closely the first couple, but I definitely watched a couple of the, especially a couple of the late Bills ones when the Cowboys were beating up on them a little bit. So I remember the Cowboys last Super Bowl. Jerry Jones, you still remember it? It was a long time ago. It's been a while.
yeah.
But I will say for the most part, I've watched it in a lot of different places, but a lot of times at home. My buddy used to do a Super Bowl party, used to host one every year. But then they had a couple of kids, and I'm like, no, that'd be more of a nuisance. That'd be more of a pain in the worth. Nope.
Do you mean the first one that you watched was Washington Buffalo? Because the Giants game was on with 10 seconds left.
No, I watched it was the Washington one. I didn't see the Giants one.
Yeah, that was 92 then.
Oh, 92? Okay.
I'm sitting here trying to remember my first one.
Yeah,
I played
because
1981.
Football first. Baseball was the first one that I watched consistently as a kid. And then I got into watching football a little bit casually in the early 90s. But I usually would make time to watch. The Super Bowl was one I'd always watch. So even if I wasn't watching a ton leading up into it, by the mid 90s, I was watching a lot more. That's when I started following the Packers and all this all going on. But by that point, then I was watching where I could. I'd watch the Monday nighters, the Sunday nighters.
I remember watching the ones in the 70s with Dallas and Pittsburgh, but vaguely, very vaguely. That's when I started loving Dallas.
My first one was also the Washington one.
Oh, okay, nice. I will say, even though like obviously it's changed a lot, I almost feel like some of those 90s ones though felt bigger, even though like obviously it's not nearly the production it is today. I feel like almost a lot of that extra gloss actually takes away from it. It makes it less interesting to me. I'm like, guys, just get on with it. I don't need all this, pomp and stir. Play the game already. Just get on with it.
Speaking of the game that was in Minneapolis, do you have a rookie Favre that's got the Super Bowl thing at the top right?
So which brand would this have been for?
Stadium Club.
Oh, for Stadium Club? No, I don't have that one. I think I'm familiar with the one you're referring to, but I never went out of my way in being consistent with my Victor rookie card specialist thing of I don't specifically care about rookie cards for rookie card's sake. I do have a few rookie, but I've kind of accumulated them. I didn't go out of my way to find them. I will say one though that I will get at some point in from ComC that I do like just because it amuses me is the Pro Set Spanish. Just because I like that it's the Pro Set Spanish. That amuses me. That I'm like, yeah, there you go. I like that. A little extra. It adds a little extra entertainment value for me.
Yeah.
That was a good play there. Let's see. Flag. Okay. Let's see what happens with that one.
The dealer that I was shopping with at the show, he bought a bunch of stuff and he had Favre rookies in the 50-cent bin. I'm just like, it hurt a little bit. Almost like that really hurt the Niners.
Yeah. Well, let's see. I'm curious. Like, did you see what the flag was for? I see the indicator, but I didn't catch it.
It doesn't look like Frisco's of it or happy about it. So
Okay, I got you. Well, then, good for the Lions. Looks like the Lions may have done another thing. Yeah, Eric has a link, but I know he watches a lot of these games with his mom, so it's very possible he's watching with his mom. So if that's the case, then all good. I know he popped in the chat briefly. Are you sure you didn't ban him for like a day or 2 days, 10 days? You shouldn't hit like 10 days.
I should have.
Because I'll get a text message at some point and be like, unblock me. Abuse of power, Paul. Abuse of power. I appreciate it, but still, I simply need to acknowledge it.
What was the flag?
It looked
Was
like
that
it was
on
like that head bump.
turn?
It looked like it was like the helmet bump or whatever it was. That's what I saw in the replay. I don't know.
Well, no, but he hits him on the hand.
Really? Okay.
Oh, a block in the. Okay, yeah, he blocked him from behind on the return. Okay.
Okay. Makes sense. Here you go. Blindside block. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yep. Had to look up the Super Bowl rookie. Yeah, what a lame variation. Yes. Nothing too exciting. A lot of those. That's so just quickly as since we're talking as we're watching. Part of the thing, my theory, especially with the collection, is I really am picky about. It's got to be interesting to me. That's the number one thing. Whatever it is, insert, parallel, whatever. There's a lot of great cards that would be awesome cards to have, but just because they're awesome cards, if I look at them and nothing strikes me, then I'm like, okay, it's a cool card. It can even be a rare card, a valuable card, whatever. It's got to hit me. But when I look at a lot of his rookies, they do nothing for me. The Pro Set Spanish thing, I kind of get a kick out of it because Pro Set isn't really a super high-end brand, but I love the fact they have a Spanish variant. That's kind of fun for me. So that's cool. But yeah, most of the rookie cards don't do anything for me. And then once you get into like the mid 90s and the late 90s, there's just so much amazing stuff. Like there's some great stuff in there. It's not all expensive. A lot of it is very affordable. You can find it. It's fantastic, cool looking. Like, and it doesn't have to be. It can be a one per box. It can be one. Some of them are one per case, and you didn't. And people don't even realize it. And it's like still a cool card.
I was gonna say when I threw this in, I really didn't care if this was 1 in 288, 1 in 6. I'm just like, this is awesome. I'm throwing it in.
Yep. Yeah. And there's just so many. As you go through, you'll find them in different sets and different brands. And you're like, man, awesome. For a collecting purpose, you can throw it together.
But yeah, the two most expensive Favre rookies are lame variations. It's the Super Bowl one and it's the stripes from Wildcard.
Right. Yep. And those never did anything for me either. So it's like, yeah, whatever. I'll acknowledge it, but it doesn't mean I'm going to go out of my way to grab one.
And the fact that they're so hardly, or they're not available often enough at auction where I feel like I can steal one for the fun.
Right.
Especially not for 1,000. I mean, maybe I don't know what all the stripes are, but I think I'd probably want like 100, but just based on the price.
Mm-hmm.
I grabbed a couple 5s and 10s when I was a kid, but just no-namers that I pulled myself. Like, if I could get 100 Favre, I'd be pretty happy.
There you go. Here you go. Just to make sure we got it covered. See, Scott, I think I'm going to get some reusability out of this one.
Wow. They can't stop the run.
No, not at all.
Tackling's below average also.
Their backs are going to get 100 each.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That is right, Philly Joe. That is right. Now y'all see what I was saying during the Packer game? I said I wasn't super impressed with the San Francisco team. Now, that isn't to say they can't put together a few plays. Like, if they can adjust, so be it. But I've been unimpressed.
Kansas City looks like they got the best defense so far.
Lions.
You think the Lions is better?
Yeah.
I won't disagree.
Yeah.
I guess,
I'd agree with that.
opposed to the offense of the Lions, I guess.
Yeah. And don't forget also, when we're talking about defenses or offenses, sometimes a defense or offense can just rise to the occasion for a playoff. Like the last time Green Bay won that Super Bowl that year in Super Bowl 45 season. The playoffs were surprising. They were little thing. Was it like Ryan Grant who like suddenly was really good and it's just like, what the heck?
Nope. Starks.
Oh, Starks, that's the one. That's why I was trying to remember the name. But it was like you didn't expect it. And then all of a sudden he had these games where like, and you weren't counting on that. That isn't where you were looking to get some contribution. And you did, but you got the contribution. And they played some games that were not where you expected. And it all came together just right. And it was kind of ahead of schedule because you didn't necessarily expect that particular team to be the one to go to the Super Bowl and win.
Yeah. Philly basically forced it because their secondary was nice that year. And the wind in Soldier Field, it was howling that day. It was howling. So that basically
sometimes it has to work for you, but sometimes you get a little bit lucky. You get the right matchups, the right sequence of them. It works out. So that one's you can throw that one. I know of it, but I haven't played around with it, so I have no idea what those things would go for.
I mean, how many boxes is that?
That's kind of my thing. For $1,000, a pallet seems like you're getting a decent amount of volume, but I don't know the answer to that question. I have no way of knowing.
So if I gave you a big bag of poo, would you buy it for $1,000?
But Scott.
I mean, it's a really big bag.
but here's the thing, Scott. Don't forget. There are the peoples out there who are like, we have to respect base. We have to love base. Listen, Scott, there is a price low enough and a number big enough where even 1991 Donruss baseball becomes viable. Right. I'm thinking $150 for a tractor trailer worth, maybe. But there is a volume and a dollar number low enough combination that we can get there.
I was gonna say, whoa! I can get a 50 stripe, or do they have 50 stripes?
Yeah, I still have a half.
I just learned about the stripes last year from JJ, one of Bob's friends.
Yeah, it's one of the stupidest. It's one of the stupidest variations, though. I really hate it. It's really dumb. Stuker says I still have a half dozen unopened Super Bowl.
I just remember I just feel like when in '91, everybody made fun of that card, and now I was like, that's what
Scott, I am prepared. Scott, I'm prepared to go on record in the year 2024 of our Lord, still making fun of that card.
I was like, that was like the off brand card, and now y'all are looking for it. I that's why I was asking questions. It kind of threw me.
No, that's fair. I get you. Listen, we'll talk about it after I get my tractor trailer of 91 Donruss for $150. It's gonna be very exciting. I'm gonna get all the Donruss Elites, Scott, at least 2 of them. It's gonna be amazing.
Yeah, I was gonna say you can get a 20 stripe. The last one did 33. That's what I think that a pallet worth of that stuff would be worth.
Sounds about right.
$33.
So, but here's a question, Paul. Have we considered the value of it in kindling and weight by weight? What if it's really cold and we need enough for a fire?
$34.
There you go. We've already increased the value. It's pretty good.
But I think that also has that glossy finish that might not light. So
that could be problematic. Yeah. Scott, I got to be honest. I feel like our Purdy Party Prism rookie futures are not looking good.
Yeah.
The struggle is real. If this doesn't start turning around, it's still the first half, obviously, but if this doesn't start turning around, it'll be like the sound of a million Brock Purdy investors all going silent all at once.
I am really, really been impressed with this Detroit team in the playoffs.
They are playing some, dare say, inspired. Box appeared 36 packs and 10 per case. Okay, gotcha. Thank you, Bob.
It's almost like somebody told them, hey, you might have the Detroit name on your jersey, but that doesn't mean you're from Detroit. So you don't have to play like it.
Ooh. But Scott, you know what's funny? You know what's funny though? Like, I'll throw at you one. I'll throw at you like a more serious angle from the coaching staff perspective. Obviously, you're like they're not bound by the legacy of the Lions from the past. They're not. They're really not. However, I'll throw at you something that the coaching staff could be telling the players that would be legit. Hey guys, go look at the draw. There's a chance.
Yeah.
You get there, like, I'm sorry. Nobody here is an automatic prohibitive favorite to win it all. All the scenarios were, when we were down to Final Four, all the scenarios were in play. Even when we had 8, most of those teams could have at least had a shot if the draw fell the right way for them. There's a bunch of them that are going to kick themselves going, oh shit, what an opportunity we missed.
Ooh, that's a late hit too, it looks like.
Limited to 20,000 cases? A mere 20,000 cases? Dang. But yeah, I think, Scott, this year is going to be the one where there's a bunch of fan bases that are going to look at whatever the Super Bowl matchup is, go, shit, it could have been us. Like, it really could have been us.
I mean, I know y'all are looking at it because you were a couple of plays away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I'm also looking at it as a Dallas fan with the team we had. And, like, we shit the bed, and we had every chance to be where everybody else is at right now. You know, where other teams are at right now. Baltimore's
let's put it this way.
Thing.
Do you feel like as a Dallas fan that you wouldn't be like, well, we have a chance against this San Francisco team you're looking at right now?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Because I'm sitting here going, all you have to do is run the football. We talked about it in the Dallas game when we knew Dallas was done. We talked about it before the game. And then we're talking about it even we're like, hey, Detroit's got a better running game. And let's see what they do against this team. So
that would be Scott. So would you rip a case of 99 and Pro Set looking for the Stanley Cup hologram for a grand? Not a case. Again, we're back to the tractor trailer. The tractor trailer is full of cases, to be clear. You give me enough cases, then the answer may be yes. But I'm going to need a lot of cases.
But there's also the time and the effort to open up all of them versus just wanting what you want and paying for it.
Pretty much. I think you could buy the Stanley Cup hologram for way less. You can probably get a couple and just save yourself the trouble of cracking open the packs. Yep, pallet of Pro Set a grand. Ooh, that'd be tough. I don't know. How many 91 Pro Set Jagers you want? You're gonna get a few. The sad part about that Pro Set thing is because they printed it into infinity, the rookie class in all of 90-91 is ridiculous. You got Modano, you got Jagr, you got Fedorov. It's stupid how many good Hall of Fame players or really good players for a period of time have rookies in that set. It's stupid.
And score for the GOAT.
Ooh, Martin. As long as the Canadian Cranium stops pumping the Stanley Cup Hall of Facts. Facts. So, Scott, here's a question. If Detroit converts one more time, I'm not completely convinced San Francisco, physically they're capable, but with the way they've been doing here, I don't think they can come back from that far behind. I think they can't allow it to get this far out of hand.
It'll be one-dimensional, and then you're going to let those ends from Detroit and blitzers from everywhere, knowing that all you got to do is throw. So that's going to be a tough road to hoe.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, all of a sudden, you're basically asking Purdy to suddenly air it out. I don't know I don't think that's a good idea.
No.
Yeah, Nolan, Roenick, Bondru, Blake. Yeah, it was crazy. It was a ton of great players in that early 90s period and stacks of them. If not Hall of Famers, at least stars for a stretch of time.
Yeah, I loved watching hockey. That's when I fell in love with hockey, was in that time period. Also, Sega Genesis had one of the best hockey games ever at that same time.
NHL 94? He played with Roenick, and he was unstoppable. He was basically hockey's Bo Jackson from Tecmo Bowl.
Right. They just cannot stop the run.
No. And right now, it's
5-6 yards a clip.
Hasek was also.
Go ahead.
Hasek was also in upper deck, and was he in anything else? Rookie-wise?
91, 92 Upper Deck for sure. I think it was in Parkhurst. I think it was in 91, 92 Parkhurst, I believe.
What was that? Wasn't there a top set that year?
91, 92. There was an Opeachy set. So
I thought it was
probably
a
would have
top
top
for
set.
like a blue box. I thought it.
Yeah. I know that they had Opeachy, but they might have had a Tops one with the same design.
Okay.
If they did, it would be the same design.
I could have swore I opened that and got some pretty nice rookies out of it.
Well, you know what, Scott? If you're talking 91, 92, right?
I'm not saying positively. I'm just trying to, you know how I'm with hockey. It all kind of runs together.
But Scott, you know what? I have a Z folio of Banana from the entire early 90s, and he was in every set. So I can refer to the repository.
I mean, I can go and pull out my hockey stuff, I guess.
Make my life easy, Scott. Whenever I ask an early 90s hockey question, I just go to the Z folio. The answer is in here. So let's see. This rookie
I
year
got
stuff.
some of them graded. Did actually pretty well, but I think I bought a box for like $25, $20.
Pro set. We'll do score. Yep. There's a Tops version. Same design. Yeah. So it's the same design as 91, 92 Opeachy, but it says Tops on top.
Okay.
Same design.
Yeah.
So the answer should be yes. I don't know if the checklist is identical, but it should be pretty close.
I'm pretty sure that was the box I opened.
Early 90s, I got you, Scott. If it's early 90s, I can check.
Was that Curtis Joseph's?
90,
He was 90, 91. He would be in 91, 92, but he'd be a second year in that set.
Okay. Well, maybe I just bought his rookie card.
Yeah, Hatchick was an Upper Deck, Parkhurst, Score, and Pro Set. Okay, so he had a Pro Set one too as well. There you go. Perfect. I think he was a Score, Parkhurst, Pro Set, UD. If you did, I'm sure someone's selling them by the pound. Oh, yes. All of those are available in abundance. All the 90 and 90 and 90 and 91. No doubt. So good news. You can find a few. Rest assured.
And every hobby shop said that these were rare.
Yep. Well, Paul, my favorite thing about that whole early 90s period when we talk about rare and everything, and everybody's like, oh man, they made their own production error. But I always kind of challenge and push back. I go, you do realize if you guys had you wanted to live in ignorance. I was there. People wanted to live in ignorance because you'd have the ads in the hobby magazine for the dealers, and the dealers told you, I can get you 100 count lots of 88 Donners, Greg Jeffries, Todd Van Pop, all these guys. And you're like, if the dealer can get you 100 count investment lot and they can put multiple of them together for you, do you need a calculator, sir? How many of them are there if there are multiple dealers who can make you this offer and give them to you by the pound? Sounds to me like they made a lot, Scott. Did I specifically have to tell you what the print run is? Or is the fact that I can get you nearly limitless supply, shouldn't that be tipping you off?
That's how I feel about the stuff now. It might not be the silver prism. It's the orange one. It's the yellow, purple, the disco. But you can get rookies from everyone you want now.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Brag about how they print 24/7. Now you see that in cringe. There you go. Well, 9091 Pro Set is still being printed to this day. It's in Scott's backyard. They're printing it right now. They can get some fresh ones if you want some brand new ones. Steel Velocity did not know when those probably printed to 35 non-numbered. Yep. Yeah, like here's the thing. I don't disagree with Paul's premise, but I always kind of remind everybody that, look, you got to figure out what works for you. It goes back to what I said about the thing. I don't need everything. That's okay. So if they overproduce it, fine. Then don't pay a lot for it, or just wait until enough of it's out there where you can get it super cheap. And if you want to have one, you'll get it cheap. Great. The problem, there's nothing inherently wrong with overprinting. It just means don't overpay for it.
Right.
That's it.
Yep.
Guess what? Sometimes I still want to have the there's a couple of those 1990, 91 Pro Set cards that maybe I like the card, but I'm not going to pay you more than 50 cents for it. But it might be fun to have around for a laugh, depending on what it is.
Where are they going to stand at the halftime show? In the parking lot or?
I don't
Are you
know.
allow them to sit at the desk? What are you going to do here?
I've questioned every time they have one of the outdoor desk setups, especially in in California, whatever, it's fine. But like when it was like super cold and they were
Yeah.
like, we've got a studio and we're outside at the desk. I'm like, fuck this.
Yeah,
Why are we having to sit out here like idiots?
Studio. What do I have to be
We
in the
can't-
game for?
It's like we don't have to be here for this.
Yeah,
Freeze like the peasants. Get out of here.
I didn't.
Yeah, I remember watching
I'm sure
that.
it's not warm up there in San Francisco.
In relative terms compared to a lot of these climates, probably. But and you can bundle up layers. For San Francisco, bundling up is not a big deal. But I'm just saying, like, you're a professional television outfit. You can get them a trailer or something where they can be in and just do their thing. You don't have to be outside for that.
I don't. Well, I haven't understood on site
Wow.
why they have to be on site.
Yeah, I remember thinking that when I was at the 07 NFC Championship and it was negative 30 outside, and hey, we're live from the field.
I ain't doing that. No reason to do that.
They need to put a glass case around it with some heat in it.
Yeah, here we go. It's like Carlos's condo before he got heat. That's right. And I didn't even want to be on location from here. It's bad times. It was a bad scene. Anything not normal size of the player I collect, I do not count. The same goes for this goofy catch coin things. Yeah, that's fair. I don't collect oversized cards. That's fine. Yeah, makes sense. You go online, it says 70 in Santa Clara, which is where Levi's is. So cools off faster, though. Yeah, 70 is not bad. It's not terrible. Yeah, those are the ones that are numbered, right, Scott? Those are the ones they put inside the boxes?
Yeah, these are the ones at the top of the collector's boxes.
Oh, right.
These ain't the numbered ones.
Well, actually, once upon a time, though, when Victor was originally doing a lot of his early stuff, I wanted to have a little bit of fun because I did a video where I talked about the whole thing, the question of the rookie card and everything. Look, and going back to, what we talked about, I was like, I really don't care. But I do remember specifically talking about it. And obviously a lot of the rules, pack pull, fully available, blah, 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 base set.
Right.
And then I actually grabbed a couple of those oversized cards because they would be parallels of the base set.
Right.
And I pulled, I want to say an Alex Bregman. But here's the thing. It was an oversized card. It was available in the boxes. It was a box topper in the boxes.
Mm-hmm.
It was the same design as the base card. It was the same number as the base card. Like everything looked the same. And it had a rookie logo on it. And I go, right. So is this a rookie card?
Well,
this oversized novelty card?
The ones I just showed you are actually bigger than the box toppers.
Right.
So the box toppers, I think, are 5x7 usually. And I got a Cody Singa I just put up yesterday for that.
So do those have the top loaders on them now? Or are they just loose?
They're loose.
They're usually loose. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Well, these are in the back of the box, like tucked in us. They're nicely put in there. They're not like the ones at the top of the boxes are just sliding around.
Nice.
I just had this ones. I got some larger top loaders.
Nice.
Yep.
But so I did that one kind of facetiously. I kind of did that tongue in cheek. But then there was another one that I was a little bit more serious, and I used a real example from back in the day. And they had this in a couple of different sports. They had it in baseball for sure. I want to say maybe. Yeah, convert, of course, obviously. So Scott, San Francisco was a 7.5 point favorite. I'm feeling good on this plus 7.5. That's all I'm saying. Feeling good about it right now.
I just flabbergasted.
I don't know what to say, my man. I don't know what to say. But all I'm saying is that so in the late 90s, before Pinnacle went out of business, they did the tear to tear year for a couple of the sports. And the thing is, inside the pack, you'd get the 7.5, 5x7 cards, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened with those is those are base cards, technically. But inside, you could cut them open and then you get the small one that was also a base set. So what happened is you'd have some rookies that were part of that year. So hockey, for example, had a couple of rookies in that set. But you could have a big version of the card. And in order to get the small version, you needed to open the big card. But the big card was not considered a rookie, but the small version was considered a rookie, which was stupid and made no sense. They both came out of the same pack. You had to literally open the pack to get the 5x7s.
I liked the Allen and Ganner boxes back in the day that had a little pack of the small ones. because you usually got one pretty good card out of either wood or like I got a Jackie Robinson hand numbered to 5 out of that. So you get some nice stuff out of those. I mean, I like some of the other stuff too, but
At least they weren't throwing their most valuable insert in as an oversized.
Yes, that's right.
And now I can
I
get
actually
the whole
li-
set on eBay for $5, $8.
Yeah.
got the
I
whole
like
set.
though. I like those some of the colored ones they did for the jumbo creamers though. I like some of the colored ones. Some of them actually look pretty good.
I think they
Was it-
started that in what 99 or something though.
I think right thereabouts because I want to say Crown Royale in 2000, 99, 2000 had a bunch of them. I got they're a little tough to see, but I've got a couple of Medanos here in the background. I got a pair of the green ones. I want to say 99, 2000 Crown Royal. That's
yeah,
when they
you,
did the
you,
large cream
you
choice.
got one of those. What kind of fall of last year? Didn't you, Carlos?
Yeah, that was my second one. I actually
Yeah.
had found one previously, and I got a second one, and I've got the gold version that's also numbered.
Right. Yeah, because I remember you showing those, and I was like, so I started looking for like some of the baseball ones and stuff.
They're cool looking, to be honest. I like
Yeah.
them, but the oversize is really annoying to house.
Right.
It's really annoying. So I get why they're not as popular as a similar type card in a normal format. That one would have been big if Goff had converted on that one.
I think it actually hurts the normal size ones also.
I would agree with that. Yeah, I think it was a quirky idea.
Ooh.
I didn't mind it.
Had him.
Yeah, I think though Goff is not one of those quarterbacks that can make a throw falling away or doing like a sideways. He needs to set in order to properly make his throw. He can't be, juking and jiving and trying to do weird R angles and things. He needs to be able to throw it.
He
safe.
actually missed going in the direction that he was scrambling to. Was out where he missed.
Ooh, conversion.
But also on the flip side of that, you can also get some for cheap because the dealers are like, where the hell do I put this?
Yeah.
I can't put it in the showcase. I can't put this in the value bin.
Yeah, I have those. I like to get those, and I have them all over the house.
Now, is that more of a Dufex or refractory? What do you got with that one? Is that a Dufex?
This is a playoff, so it's that foil.
Yeah, but so the foil itself is what I mean when I say Dufex.
Yeah.
It's the actual type of technology they use for it. It was a certain little foil that reflects in a light a certain way. That's the Dufex. I'm a big fan of those.
It's like the Dufexes that were on the pinnacles and the trophies, the pinnacle trophy
collection. Yep. Agreed, Philly Joe. Agreed as well. I don't know. Let's see. Does Detroit put this away? This is the dagger?
I did. Put for next week a Johnny Bench oversized Perez. Was it Great Plays and Players or something?
Okay.
Auto.
So you're saying you put it? So what were you
I
talking
put
about?
a bid on it.
Oh, a bid on it. Okay.
Yeah,
Now I got you.
It's not till next
I was
week.
missing the second half of it. You just
I'm
said
sorry,
like,
I put a
I put
bid.
a Johnny Bench. You put it in a cabinet. You put it under the ground. You put it in your house. You put it.
Well, when I saw the cabinet card, because that's what they remind me of.
Gotcha.
Presents.
No, I got you. Fair enough. Okay.
Yeah, some of the better stuff I got is actually next week's stuff.
Oh, okay. Nice. Okay.
I've been saying that for about a year and a half now. Like, oh, the stuff I really want is next week, and then you look on Saturday or Sunday at noon, you're like, all right, I'm out. I'm out of this one. I'm out of this one. I'm out of this. Like,
Well, I'm fine with that. I always try to steal one or two. I feel good if I get one or two of them, and if not,
Right.
oh well.
Right.
Wasn't meant to be. I've been
Saturday
living this
divisional.
long without it. I'll be all right tomorrow without it. So
Nice, nice. Now, did you see the play there where
He
Goff
was on the
threw and
ground.
he was like already on his knees? He was like on the ground and he needs to pick himself back up. I was actually curious if they were going to go for
Okay,
it.
he does not go for this on 4th and goal.
No,
does he?
I think they need to take the points because right now they've basically got San
Okay,
Francisco
he's
on the
kicking
ropes.
it. Okay.
Yeah, they got San Francisco on the ropes. Take the
Well,
points.
you know, he leads. This dude leads the league in going for it on 4th down.
Mm.
If you were
I
on
think-
the 1, it'd be one thing.
Yes, I agree.
Anything beyond there, I think the blackjack hand is going to say 3 points.
Yeah. And also, to be honest, like you
3
have
points is
that
big
puts you under
right
10
now.
seconds. It puts you under 10 seconds. Just take the points, get up by 17 and go to the half.
3 scores. 3 scores.
Yeah. Like it's got to it feels good being in that position right now. Like it's up to San Francisco to figure out their own situation.
Because they're going to
To get
run
yourself
out
in-
of possessions here soon.
And by the way, so no great secret in the second half, if Detroit keeps on running the ball and playing these small percentage plays of the way they've been doing, they can keep running on that clock, and San Francisco will get increasingly desperate. Start doing more reckless things and maybe get a few more turnovers.
I think you mean small yardage, high percentage. You said small percentage.
Sorry, I was thinking Brett Favre. Go on.
Like this
yes.
was probably an interception.
Hey, he threw more of those than anyone else. But they were spectacular. Listen, quintuple coverage, when you see quintuple coverage, you got to do it.
Well, that's what Lamar threw into was triple coverage.
All right, here we go. So Rolling with FD shared a thing from Apex Marketing. Taylor Swift has generated $331.5 million in brand value for the NFL and Chiefs so far.
I can't believe that. I would have thought it was more. And that's just for the Chiefs. So you got to think, ladies starting to watch the game with their husbands, want gear.
Well, that's just it. I think when they're measuring it, like it's really kind of hard to measure because you can talk about certain types of branding and, merchandise and things related to it. But it's like, to your point, it might actually be underplaying it. It's better to be conservative anyway. It's still a big number. It's still hundreds of millions of dollars.
And well, not just ladies. There's a lot of men that are Swifties too. So,
well, like I said, look, Eric is up to like at least 10 grand worth of swag, to support.
Well, that's the last card show I went to. There was actually Taylor Swift rookie cards in cases.
She signs her albums fairly frequently, and there were 5 or 6 of them at the show I was at yesterday.
Yeah.
How was that show, Carlos? She said it was pretty good turnout, but for being a lot more of a sound like TCG and that type of show.
So the way they did it, so what I'll say is that from my perspective, I think all the sections of the show did well. But what I was referring to is they started off the show originally with the conference center, and they would use one of the halls. But the halls are expandable. They got the type of walls that you can basically take down. And like if you had a big wedding reception or something, you needed more space, you could take down the wall and literally slide it out and make another section and do it again and basically go all the way down the conference center if you need to. You can make it a gigantic space. As it was a pretty good space to begin with. But this time around, they took down one of the walls and slid it out to create more space so they could have it for the autograph section, the video game tournament, the card tournaments that they were playing out, plus a place for all the cosplayers to go and pose in front of these little setups they set up for them. So you were able to do all that, but you basically had 2 entire sections filled out with different things. So what I'll say is I feel like each section did something. The card section was full. There was tons of TCG, yes, but I was talking to some of the sports card dealers and they were selling stuff too.
Right.
I just wasn't too impressed with the pricing on some of the stuff I was looking at. I was looking for specific stuff. There was plenty though, if you wanted to. Like I saw folks post social medias, they bought some good cards. I saw some pretty impressive things in different categories. There were people buying Jordan Love cards over there and getting some deals on them. So I was like, in Canada. So, but at this point, the Jordan Love market is a little inflated, even after that little playoff run, because you were able to buy it a lot cheaper a couple of weeks before the playoffs started that's where I picked up a couple of mine. So I was
Right.
like, even if the deal was okay, it would have been better like a month and a half ago.
Right.
So
Well, I saw
wasn't
the
in much
Whitey
for
4 you picked up. That was a pretty
Yeah.
4. I mean, that was a really nice card for a 4.
Yeah, I thought so. I paid an okay price. It wasn't like I got a steal, but it was for more PC anyway. But it was
Mhm.
a fair price for what good eye appeal card,
Mhm.
clean. And then I was like, all right, I'll add that. So good. That's a good copy of that
Yeah.
right here. Hold on, we got a football expert here who's going to join us. So Eric, I hope you're a football expert because Lord knows you're not a hockey expert and you basically don't know anything about anything. So what is it you've got? Your great football insight. By the way, the Taylor Swift effect is still in effect, Eric. And I played the clip off the top. And once you guys said Taylor Swift, it was over. Baltimore never stood a chance. Explain yourself.
I can't explain the Taylor Swift situation. I've tried to figure her out for years. I still can't figure her out. I just wanted to pop in and say hello, and I hope everyone's having a good evening and enjoying the games. I never would have guessed Detroit would be dominating like this at halftime.
But I think the important part, Eric, and people had just listened when we did the podcast. Plus 7.5 was great. Take the points. It was good. You didn't even have to sweat it. You didn't even have to sweat it. Even if San Francisco makes a little comeback at the end, you're still feeling all right. Like,
yeah. I mean, I'm not a huge gambler and stuff, but obviously that's the way to go, right? But
when it feels like it's out of whack with reality, I think they respected San Francisco too much. Like, I'm being serious. They respected San Francisco too much. We watched them in the Green Bay game, and we saw a team that it was like that. This team isn't set up to dominate. That's trying to tell me they're winning by more than a touchdown. You have to score at least an 8-point gap, and I'm like, that team isn't doing that.
If that line is set that high and stayed there and didn't move, that means a lot of people are still putting their money on the 49ers.
Exactly. But it started at 7, Scott. It started at 7 and became 7.5. They actually pushed it even further, and I was like, well, 7.5, I really love it. I like it at 7. I even like it even more.
Well, at least they're letting the guys sit down at halftime.
There you go.
Look awkward, don't know what to do with their hands and feet and stuff. So
yeah.
And I totally agree with you, Carlos, about I don't understand how they make the halftime show guys go out in the middle of a field when it's like 20 below and try to sit there and do a halftime presentation. It makes absolutely no sense. I'd refuse to do it. I'd be like, no, like we're in Chicago, we're in Buffalo, we're in New England, New York, whatever, all these cold climate areas, and it's 20 below with the wind chill, and you want me to go out there in a suit and sit there and just give my commentary about the first half? No, that ain't happening.
My favorite part though is when they've got them out there. Yeah, but my favorite part is when they've got them out there and they're wearing whatever. Even if they're not wearing just suits, they'll bring like a jacket. They'll have gloves on. But the guys but there's like a secret mandate that none of the guys will ever wear a hat. And the thing is, you know what they say, like, the heat comes out of your top of your head, and all these guys are standing out there. It's like, you guys could wear a hat, but if there happens to be a lady there, they're not idiots. Most of the time, they'll be wearing a hat. It's the guys who are like, no, we're going to tough this out as they're slowly freezing to death. And I'm like, wear a fucking hat, guys. Put a hat on.
I don't think Jimmy Johnson's allowed to wear a hat. I don't think a hat would fit on his head.
Maybe not. Not with
that
the flowing
hair. That hair is not made for hats, man. That hair is made to be seen.
I have seen them wear earmuffs though. That seems to be their favorite headwear. They wear earmuffs.
Well, at least something, Scott. Like, here's the thing: when it gets super cold and I have to be out for whatever reason. Again, I hate it in all forms, but if I have to be out there, like, no, your ears get cold. It's like I need something.
I have a stack of winter hats in my closet this tall, and I live in Winston-Salem where it doesn't get cold. But when I was
Scott has all the hats they're supposed to have.
When I was in Iowa, I needed.
Oh yeah.
I got the bomber hat. I got the masks. I got all of them.
Yeah.
Well, Paul has the mask, but they have nothing to do with the weather. It's just when he is like, oh, hold on, how much is that Hall of Fame autograph? That mask is for purpose.
Yeah.
It's work gear.
Dual purpose. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, serious question. So, since I got you guys, we'll do a little quick round, and then I'll refill my drink here. So, do you guys think do you think we narrow the gap a little bit? Do we get some garbage time touchdowns or something to kind of bring it a little closer? Or, because
I don't
Detroit
know,
has been playing a
garbage
very
time-
solid game plan.
Because it's still close right now. 49ers get the ball to start the second half.
Yep.
This drive's going to mean everything.
No, I
think,
agree.
for
But
the second half.
what I'm asking is, Detroit has been executing very well. They've been doing the smart thing. They've been playing clock. They've been moving the ball around, and they're not trying to do too many reckless things. If they continue to do that, and San Francisco does San Francisco cut the gap, or does Detroit just keep chugging along, moving the ball slowly along, killing clock, maybe scoring a couple more points here and there, and the gap really never narrows? What do you think?
I think 49ers is going to come out and score, but Detroit's going to stick with their game plan, and that's going to be the last they score. That's
All right.
Detroit by 7 when this is all over.
All right. So you say they close the gap down. All right.
2014.
I would like to say that because as we all know, I'm an enormous 49ers fan, and I recognize the greatness that Purdy brings to the league. Having won the previous 37 Super Bowls, but things are not clicking. So unless Shanahan has got some kind of magic pill, I see things continuing to go the way they are because Detroit has their number, and they got them totally in control in all aspects of the game. So unless some drastic changes are made at halftime, I don't see why Detroit would start allowing 49ers to creep back in.
And now you guys know this is the same voice that brought you the Toronto Maple Leaf fandom, the Florida Panthers fandom, and a lot of other fandoms that worked out tremendously well in previous utterances.
I don't remember those.
You went to the Skip Bayless School of Predictions, did you? It's like none of these things happened.
Listen, you have called me a lot of horrible things, and
And I have.
Yeah, and you have. And I don't think any of them have angered me as much as referring to me as Skip Bayless.
You brought this on yourself, Eric. You brought this on yourself.
Would gladly punch that man in the face.
There's a lot of people that would.
I just think, and I don't just mean like the last couple of years. I mean, this for as long as I have been aware of that man's aliveness, I have wanted to unalive him.
Ooh, aliveness.
Wow.
Yeah, he's
like Paul. Paul, this is a new one. I kind of like this. I feel like you, as a connoisseur of unaliveness, this might be a thing for you going forward.
Paul loves unalivenesses.
This is why I have my ski mask. It's not so I can get the cheap price on the autographs. It's for other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I have my price.
Yeah.
So Mike O makes a great point. He just on our group chat talking about Shanahan can't win the big one either. He was the coordinator for the Falcons in that Super Bowl.
Oh, in the infamous 28-3.
Yeah. So yeah,
it's a bit problematic.
Well, we do have a wind advisory here where I'm at.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's going to be 37 tonight.
We won't talk about the NFC Championship anymore. We're gonna get a weather report from Scott. Go ahead, Scott. Go ahead.
Hey, I like to give you all the weather where
we're at halftime. We're at halftime, Eric. If we're gonna get a weather report, now is the time.
Yeah, go ahead. I mean, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Well, I was going to talk about
you
Four
should
Farmers
be sorry.
and the wife thing again, because that was the commercial that was on before this. I was really locked into that commercial.
Okay.
I'm waiting for the Four Farmers looking for a wife show to start.
Oh, I already told you. You need to live stream that. You need to go live. Eric will join you. Eric will join you.
He said he would join me on those.
Yeah, no, Eric's all over that. Like you do a watch along with the 4 farmers looking for a wife. Done.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yep. That's my speed.
Listen,
How I roll.
listen. You should consider it an honor because Eric would have been originally he was going to be watching a marathon of Emmanuel in space. Again, use your
I still don't know what the hell that is.
Google it.
No, I don't want it on my
Ain't that a spicy movie?
Possibly, allegedly.
Those Emmanuel movies, there's a number of those, isn't it?
This is what I hear, Scott. I wouldn't know. Ask Eric.
Listen, my wife and I share a computer. I'm not typing it.
I think somebody in the chat brought it up, and as soon as they saw it, I was like, I know what that is. It's like, look it up, but not in a browser and not at work.
Not suitable for work.
Nope. Probably not.
Do it at work.
Well, what the hell?
Well, I think at the card shop, you know, it probably wouldn't hurt. You know, you can always put it up on the monitor as you're typing.
That's what I was going to say. Put it right on the main.
Yeah,
TV.
project it up on there. Hold on, guys.
Yeah, we have a good sized television hanging. I'll stream it. I'll send it right up.
Said we ought to watch this movie. That's what you ought to tell them.
So, guys, we got to watch this movie. Take notes.
It's about sports cars in space.
No doubt. No doubt.
I heard on Friday that somebody said that shops weren't hopping at 10 a.m. So that's when you should do it.
There you go. Sounds about right. Oh, by the way, I haven't had the chance to watch all the way through it, but Ham did a follow-up video on the trade night that they had at Cards HQ. So now with the trade night, obviously more people in there, but they've also filled in more of the showcases. So now you get and they put in some of the boxes. So now you can actually see what it looks like with more of the inventory filled in. It's a better view. So Ham did a good job of kind of walking through. Yeah,
because I saw y'all talked about that Friday night, right? That was when I was wondering what y'all were going to talk about. I haven't had a chance to watch it.
Yeah, that was the first video that I linked there. That was kind of the early influencers invited just to kind of tour the shop, see what it looks like. But most of it was still empty. They hadn't filled it out yet. But with the trade night, they actually were selling inventory because they started to fill the box. Should have checked in the mail, Scott. I don't know what happened.
What the?
Oh, that's my fault. Jeff had put me in charge of that. And when
he was too busy watching Emmanuel in space. Go on.
And when I saw your name, I deleted it. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
You were invited. I accidentally hit the delete button.
Oh, I see.
So don't blame Jeff. Blame me.
I blame you for a lot of things. Joe here says, saw some prices that weren't too bad. Saw UFC card girls seeing the price. So, well, that's the reason why I challenged folks. I said, no, here's the thing. I understand the pushback to the concept, but if the price of the items is in line with where comps have been, that's not terrible for the average consumer that doesn't care to do a lot of negotiating, that maybe isn't as savvy, because then you put them in a position where they're probably not going to be paying that far out of whack with what they would get on eBay, most likely. So that's the important part. If it's close to what you would pay on eBay and you can just get it in the shop and take it home, not the worst. I've seen worse things. But if you know your stuff and you're savvy, well, then, yeah, look it up. See what the comps were. And if they're way off, then they said if it's way off, then it can be adjusted on the spot. So, like, tell them, hey, you're way off. Like, it's been the last 10 have sold for way less. Fine, just tell them. Challenge them on it and see if they'll price match it, right?
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. You're within your rights. Let's see here. Sorry, I don't get the vertical showcases. Crawling the ground to see cars. Now, I think this was interesting because I know Ham talked about it in his video a little bit when I saw it. I have a question. Did you guys not go to card shops where they had the old school standard? There is a bottom shelf on those. It's not like you've never had to like. It's like you have to like bend down to see underneath that one.
My car shop's still like that. Yeah.
Like
we have.
It's not like these suddenly create something that wasn't a problem before. Like if it's on the bottom shelf, you have to bend down to see it.
Right. All of our cases have 2 glass shelves in them, and then the bottom, the floor of the. So it's 3 shelves, and if you want to see what's on you know, the bottom row, you got to get low.
Yeah. So that's why I say, like, the old showcases are not exempt from this. If it's in the bottom row, you still got to go underneath because there's stuff blocking your visibility. So you've got to actually get down to take a look at it.
I think those showcases are fantastic to put the graded cards in, which they're going to have a lot of.
What did I say? 2010, 2017. Yeah.
I think they're fantastic. And they're double-sided and everything, so it's not like you're taking up, you know, space in the shop with just having them on one side.
That was sloppy tackling there. I don't know if you guys saw that.
I love them. Oh,
yeah, I've got no issue with them. I've got no issue with them. Like, honestly, whatever. And I don't think, like I said, I don't think the whole bottom row argument is a hindrance that a lot of people. No. And to be honest, but from a planogram perspective, if you've been in retail, you know, from a planogram perspective, I guarantee you the cards on the bottom row are not going to be the most desirable ones. The most desirable ones will be at eye level.
Oh, right. God, yeah.
You always put the ones that you really want to move that you think are going to get the attraction people will be at eye level because they want you to see it first. And they'd like you to grab those and buy them.
Is there clothes in there too? Or like, I have to imagine
You mean like merch? You mean like merch?
Yeah, he's going to have to be selling.
Not that we're aware of, but I would think if he's able to get the full kind of deal with Fanatics, why wouldn't you? Because if you can get a Fanatics deal, get everything Fanatics will provide you. They'll provide you merch. They'll provide you mini helmets, whatever they got that you can sell. Yes, why not take it all?
I would have a section of the store saying presented by Lids.
Something like that, sure.
Whatever. You have to have more than just sports cards in there. You have to.
He's going to have all the sports tchotchkes.
You know, used memorabilia. Again, I keep bringing this up. You know, they're in downtown Atlanta or across. Well, I don't know exactly, but near.
Well, they're outside of Atlanta.
I thought they were right near the baseball stadium.
Yeah, and stadium's not in Atlanta, from my understanding.
Yeah, that's the key. Is that the baseball stadium is a little off from Atlanta.
So you need to have, you know, game used bats and game used jerseys and autographed stuff. In, you know, from the baseball team.
What a catch! Should have been a hold on it.
So yes for Jennings, but I gotta say, like, Purdy falling away, throwing that backwards.
Well, it should have been a hold on that left tackle. He reached out and just pulled down 41. I mean, he just bear clawed him to the ground. But what a catch! Yeah, it wasn't great, but it was a great catch by Purdy.
I just saw that.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it's like, dude, are you already at the point that you're kind of desperately heaving a couple balls up? Detroit better be paying attention because there might be a couple balls are coming your way if you guys are alert. If he's going to start throwing across his body backwards, you know, to the other side on a fadeaway, you can probably catch a few balls.
And what I would like for him to do, and this is just my wish, if I had Jeff Wilson FU money, my studio would have a glass window so people that are in there shopping could see me or whoever doing the show.
Then Scott, you're in luck because they do.
Okay.
Yep, I was about to say.
Yeah, like it literally were. So if you check out like the most recent Sports Card Investor one, he literally sits in the chair and right behind him is glass that's completely open to the shop. It's like Total Request Live. You could have people standing there tapping the glass while he's doing his shit. They're literally, you can literally see.
I mean, that's what I would have. Yeah. I mean, good for him. I mean, I said it before, you know, with this YouTube Hall of Fame and everything, I wouldn't be mad if he got in because he's the most prolific, people know him outside of our little niche. So, I hope this works for him, actually, to tell you the truth. It'd be great for the hobby, I think. I don't know.
I'm going to stay in the middle. It's great for the content, so I want it to go for a bit because no matter what, it's great for the content.
I just don't think it's going to be the destination store that he thinks it's going to be.
For a little bit, it will be. Just for curiosity's sake alone, it will be for a little bit.
Yeah, for like the first little bit for people to go and see it, but after that, it's not going to be return. Like people going to Braves games and stuff right there, maybe, but I don't know.
If you're in driving distance and you like the hobby, I would say, not on a regular basis, but if you're anywhere in a 2-hour radius.
I was gonna say, what's driving distance? I could drive there. It's 8 hours.
Listen, I drive to, Toronto. It takes me 10 hours. It sucks, but
Right.
And then you get there, and I have my quote friends waiting for me, and it sucks because then it really starts to suck. But if you're within a 2-hour radius and you're into the hobby, you're making that drive every, once in a while, especially in the beginning. Not every weekend, but you're doing it.
So here's my question, and I'm gonna be devil's advocate for a minute. I haven't seen your Friday show, so I don't know. Excuse me if I'm
not worth watching. I don't blame you.
Going back over it. So all these people are talking about not going to card shows because I can get this stuff anywhere at any other card show or online. But you want people to drive on just a whim for 2 hours to go to a store that you can get this stuff online.
Yes. They have because one of the things is that they've got this little rolling cart majig so once everything is fully operational up and running, in theory, they're going to have the breakers doing their thing live. Then you can also have the quote unquote live selling, is that you could literally see what's going on in the showcases because the cart has a camera that can show what's going on in the different showcase. So you could be like, hey, I see a Gary Carter card over there in that row. Can I have a closer look at it? They can roll over the cart, show you the thing. Yeah, I'll take that. Please put it in my cart.
Okay, but I'm just still saying, because you're just saying drive 2 hours to go to this card shop, because that's all it is. It's a card shop, right? I don't care how big you make it; it's still a card shop,
right?
Yep.
So, they just going to have a lot more stuff. I'm sure they're going to have a wall full of a set or protective wear, and hopefully he has cases and cases of boxes, because that's it sounds like one of his selling points. But I just still hope it works, because it'd be nice. Toll House Cookies.
Who's that?
Hey Kathy, how's it going?
Mom made cookies for the second half.
Wow.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
I'm too good to him.
Oh, way too good. No doubt.
And he didn't even
100%.
say thank you.
I know. Where's the manners?
Yes, he did.
Okay.
Did.
Okay. You're
All
a good
right.
boy. You're a good boy, Eric.
If I want to keep getting cookies, I have to
That's
be.
right.
I'm not stupid. I might not be good, but I'm not stupid. All right, I'm gonna let you guys go. Mom's back. We're gonna watch the second half of this game together. Yannick says I don't deserve cookies.
Uh-oh.
And Yannick is correct.
Hi,
He is accurate.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you, Kathy, for joining us. Have yourselves a great night. Enjoy the rest of the game.
Okay, you too. Nice seeing
Bye.
you.
Have a good one. That was Eric and Eric's mom. And Eric does not deserve cookies. That's 100% true. Facts.
Who's Laporta hurting on this run?
It's important, man. It's important. Let's see here. So we're at a 14-point game right now. Still hanging in there. A little over 10 minutes in the third. We got here. So let's see.
You said that the 4 for the Ford was pretty nice. What were the issues on that one?
So it's got a little bit of a nick in the corner. So the corner's a little dented, which for 4 is perfectly fine. Image looks pretty clean. I think it's got some creasing on the back for sure. But again, perfectly acceptable on a 4. I will say I think it's a good eye appeal 4, and I'm pretty happy with it.
I didn't see any creases. Like, my big thing is through the face, the hat, upper jersey.
I think most of that area is pretty clean. I have to take a closer look at the surface, but I think it's clean. And the point is the eye appeal on it is good. And even the centering on it is actually not bad. You got a nice border on each side. So it's one of those things where I think it presents very well. I went and looked up some comps and some other 4s, and they honestly looked a lot worse. So it was like, yeah, I was pretty happy with where we wound up on the price point.
It's got beautiful color on it. Those 53s, that's a big thing.
That's the thing is if you're gonna go through the trouble, and I didn't go to that show, by the way. So Scott, the amount of vintage in that show was maybe a handful of tables at most.
Right.
It's just I happened to come across it towards the end. I was like, hey, oh, that's a nice card. I see the price point. I'm like, that's not terrible. Show it to me. What do you have here? Let's take a look.
Carlisle says he don't think it's that close to the ballpark.
Okay, gotcha.
He lives down there. So is Jeff's building in Atlanta, or is it in the same town as, because the ballpark is in another town, right?
It's wherever town or area the ballpark is in. It is, even if it's not walking distance, it's somewhere in striking distance of the park.
Okay.
It's in a plaza that I think has a movie theater in it. So whatever it is, it's a plaza that has a couple of different things and units going on. So it's not like the area has some traffic built in automatically with the design of what it is. But again, not being familiar with the area at all, I wouldn't be able to tell you much more than that. I can tell you from just looking at when they were showing where it was, it's like there's a movie theater there, and there's definitely a plaza and some stuff going on. So automatically you get some visitors who are just going to be in the area no matter what. And then if you have, even if it's not walking distance, just having some proximity to the ballpark, not being 10 miles away, it's still the striking distance.
I know he built it down there because that's where he's from. That's his area.
Yeah.
He lives in that area.
That's right.
But man, I would have thought building in the Northeast or buying a building in the Northeast somewhere where you have a lot more people within a 2-hour radius to come to your, I mean, you got all those major cities that could come to your building.
Yeah. But don't forget, Scott, you're offsetting part of the lease cost by using it as part studio.
Yeah.
So you're dropping the lease on the studio, and you're actually having people that work for you in the town that they're in being right there and being able to work under the same building while the shop's operating. You're you're getting a twofer. So that's a big deal for tax purposes and all those things.
I'm just thinking of the shop and people going, because it's some other bigger cities around there, but you're talking about a lot of farmland once you get outside of Atlanta. So that's what I'm kind of, based on.
So just on this graphic, David Montgomery is currently doubled up Christian McCaffrey on rushing. Pretty good for him.
Yeah, Zach, I understand the real estate prices. I 100% understand that, but Atlanta real estate ain't cheap. It's one of the growingest areas in the country.
You get that Ford from a vintage dealer or somebody modern that just had it and was like, yeah, get this out of here, and didn't look and see.
He had multiple showcases, several of them were modern, but he had one showcase that was 3/4 vintage. So he had a couple of different vintage cards in there. We had a nice chat, and he does like to pick up some, but he tries to be picky what he picks up. And then as he sells some, he tries to replace it and find other copies to fill in and sell some cards. So a little bit of both, but he does take care to add some vintage to the showcase, which is fair.
Yeah, I walked in and had the complete jackpot situation happen. Guy has multiple showcases. There was this and maybe one other vintage item, but yeah, I picked up a nice 5 Hallis rookie.
Nice.
I could argue it's a 6. So I'm like, wait a minute, and you're accepting the trade on modern crap that I don't want anyways, like jackpot.
There you go.
Nice. And that's what I say, like Scott, we've talked about it before. I'm good with a mix and match. I collect modern, and I also have vintage projects I work on. I don't reject either one. There's different things I do. I don't want all vintage, and I don't want all modern. There's different parts of it that interest me. So when I find something I'm looking for, I'm not even actively working on that set right now. But I saw the card. I felt like it was appropriate. It would fit with what I have currently right now. And I was like, okay, if we come to an agreeable price, I'll be happy to add it, because then I'll scratch it off the list. And when I get to it later, I'll already have it off the list. Right.
And I mean, I listened to you, and it makes perfect sense. So when you're doing that wasn't, if I remember correctly, that was an SGC 4, right?
That was a PSA 4. PSA 4.
So when you do your sets, do you want PSA graded, or do you care what graded, or I know you do mostly non-graded when you're doing your sets, but
Mhm.
I know you pick up some graded as well, like you did today. Are
Yeah,
you
Hall of Famers, and some short prints, some stuff, some nicer stuff. The more expensive stuff, I will tend to get graded a lot of times because I'm buying it online. But in
Right.
person, if it's the deal, so for that 53 set, I have
Mhm.
BVG cards, I have SGC cards, and I have PSA cards. I even have a CSG card.
So will you
I'm not
bust those
picky.
out? Okay, you'll keep the Frankenstein,
I don't care.
the monster,
I was doing Frankenstein before it was cool. Who cares?
right? Well,
Unless
you're actually Frankenstein. You're
yeah.
creating the monster.
That's right, exactly. But the thing is, though, look, as long if it, there are collectors who are super OCD, and I get it. Like that's part of it. Like for if it genuinely bothers you, it's an eyesore, and you cannot stand it, then I totally get it. But
Right.
otherwise, I'm looking at it like unless I think it's been egregiously graded, completely mislabeled, there's something wrong with it.
Mhm.
Why am I going to spend more money out of my
Mhm.
pocket just to take it out of a holder and put it in
Right.
a different holder?
That's exactly the way. Like my
Yeah.
Clemente is however I bought it, and unless I bought it raw, then I send it in to get graded. Most times
Yeah.
it's just gonna be SGC.
And don't get it twisted. The BVG holder is ugly. It's ugly as
Right.
sin. But
Yeah.
the card in it was good. The card was good.
You
The
wanted the
price
card.
was correct.
Right.
And so the price was correct and the card was good. I can live with it for now.
Mhm.
If it offends me down the road, then I can switch the holder. But I'd rather already have the set done. And then maybe I want to make them uniform. Then
Mhm.
I can worry about it later.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. So I get it. Like but for some folks, the OCD will kick in. They'll lose their minds. It's like, dudes, there's if you're playing a long game, you don't have to get it all fixed today. And that money that you're spending today was an opportunity at a card you could have picked up.
Yep.
49ers playing with a little bit more oomph here in the second half.
They have to now. I think
Yeah.
a little bit of urgency is needed for these guys. I think they have to. I don't think they have a choice.
So you guys, I voted yesterday, but have you? And I mean, it's one of those another Hall of Fame things. Vintage football cards, or just football cards, not even vintage. But what did y'all think about that group of cards yesterday, or in that vote?
I think that 90% of them are ultimately going to make it in off that list. 90 to 100% of them. I don't.
I was thinking the same thing. I was like, these are all Hall of Fame type of cards. These, even I that don't collect football know these cards. So I'm like, why do you not just say, hey, we're putting all these in?
Yeah, I believe that
At least the vintage,
the guys
at least
who showed
the
that,
older ones, right?
the guys who are on there think a lot high. They think a lot higher of the 52 Lansford or whatever it is,
Mhm.
the short print than I do. But if you take, I don't know if that was even on the list this year, but I could run through all of those on the list. I believe I have all of them except I don't have the Brady's.
Oh my God, you see that catch?
I'm about 4 seconds behind you. Wow, that's unlucky. I don't know who the flag's on.
I don't either.
But yeah, I have basically the whole list besides the
Oh,
Mannings.
they're called Detroit. Boy.
I don't have the Four Horsemen. I don't have the Rockney.
Yeah, I love that Four Horsemen card. I've seen that. I've held one of those. I love that card.
And I do not have the 1888. I thought about getting Orlando's at the National, but I'm like, I can't spend that much if it's not on the checklist for me. But yeah, I have, I don't know, 90% of that list. Actually, I take that back. I don't have the 84. Did they put the 84 Young on the list or Kelly? Because I don't have the Young either. Is that a reception and touchdown?
No, they
Down by
called him
contact.
down by touch.
Gotcha.
That was a
So I did catch. I caught the replay on that. I go, only Detroit could be like, it almost worked. No, it didn't work. That's basically the only thing that's going to keep San Francisco in there. That was luck. That was like, okay, fair enough.
Well, that's what you got to have. You got to be able to capitalize on it when it happens. So let's see what they
100%.
do.
Well, I used to get a chance to play more. I'd love to go back and play some more, but I used to play a lot of online poker tournaments. But I when I went to Vegas years ago for a birthday, I was able to have a chance to play in a couple of tournaments live, and it's fun. It's fun to actually play the man a little bit, actually be able to see who you're playing against and be able to work around that. But I always joke with a couple of buddies of mine. I go, here's the thing: no matter what happens, online, in person, whatever, if you're playing a poker tournament, a game that you're playing, a cash game is one thing, but a tournament, all right, keeping up. Purdy is still alive. But if you're playing in a tournament, even if you're the greatest player in the world, there's going to be a couple of hands where you're going to need to come from behind. Like, unless you pay absolutely perfect and can see everybody's cards all the time, there will be a few hands where you'll need to come from behind. You'll need to get lucky 1 or 2 times at least, sometimes a couple more times. And if you do, then you can get to a final table or you can win the tournament.
I almost
rare
got
that
in
somebody
a
goes
fight
wrong.
because I went all in one night. I was the power hand because I had the most money on the table. I
Sure.
went all in on a jack and a 4 against a guy's ace and a king and won.
Right. Yeah.
And that dude was ready to fight me. And I was like, you had $20 and I have hundreds.
Yeah, well, that's the thing.
Chances
So
were just as well for me as it was. We didn't see the flop yet. I hate that. And I was like, and I won on the flop. I mean,
right.
come on. I used to play quite a bit of Hold'em, but
The situation is everything, because, like I said, you have to win a couple of hands as an underdog in order to succeed. That's the point that I'm making.
right.
Unless for some reason you're the luckiest person in the world, you keep getting pocket aces and you build up a perfect chip lead and like nothing ever goes wrong, that doesn't happen. Like,
Right.
at some point you're gonna be at least a little bit of an underdog. Maybe it's a 45-55, but there's something where you're going to be from behind and you come back and win one. You need a couple of those. If you're going to win, you need a couple of timely double ups or something. A couple of those will get you through. So now that keeps San Francisco in the game. So now the question is, how does Detroit respond? They had a little misfortune on the last one. Stuff happens, and they've still got a lead. But
I am going to leave here in about 5 minutes to go do my video.
yeah, Scott's got to get ready for his own live
I'll
show.
send you a link and you just come over whenever.
Yeah. So so give the people the topic. This is on the Big Scott 35 channel. He's going to sit there and do
Tonight
the Baltimore
is-
post game show. All right, what do you got?
So this is going to be what intimidates you in a hobby. I had somebody bring up something that caught me off guard in a conversation. I can't remember if it was on the podcast or after the podcast I was on.
Okay.
And I was asking questions of why you only collect this and not this. And I was told that modern cards intimidate that person. And I understood that, because when you doing vintage, you buy like a 57 tops. It's only one card, right? It's not a variants and all this other stuff. Now Tops has 30 to 60 different set variants, all this other stuff. So kind of talk a little bit about that and just kind of see what else anybody else has. But I just thought that was interesting and to talk about, because like talking vintage football. I'm not very good with vintage football. I would have to call a friend if I was going to purchase vintage football. Yeah, I just don't know enough about it. I know the players. I just don't know enough about the cards to be comfortable purchasing. So, everybody has, I guess, their blind spot or whatever. I don't know if intimidation or being intimidated is a good enough, it's a right term or not, but That's
Well,
my big-
Scott, like we all, to your point, we've all got different things. I got to be honest. The only thing that ever intimidated me in sports cars was every time I saw a Tom Brady card, I'm like, avert my eyes! Oh my god, no!
Yeah.
Why?
I mean, it. I've been told if you're comfortable paying the price and you buy it and you're happy with the card and you didn't overpay for it. So, I kind of always thought of that, but you still want to, you don't want to be a chump either. So if you can get it for less and buy something else the same day with that extra money, that's a plus. So you kind of want to be educated and be comfortable. Oh my God. Detroit started to be Detroit.
Paul, I think the somebody's got to go over there and be like, I think you're going to need more than motivational speaking. You need a little fundamental football.
Yeah,
they were doing so well.
Two of the larger purchases that I've made were raw vintage football. I bought a Gursky rookie raw, and I bought an Otto Graham Bred for Health raw.
Right.
I mean, there's, I don't want to say like you have to know, but there's some nuts there where it's like, well, all right, here's my chance. Here's my money.
Yeah.
Well, a few nationals ago, I made my biggest purchases, and that was a Clemente rookie, a Satchel Paige 53. And a Gretzky rookie, and all in the same show.
Doorstop?
Gretzky what's that?
Doorstop.
I was gonna say, Scott, you should have come up to Canada. Like
I didn't know you get one.
I'll go get one out of a cabinet. Like, I have this. Speaking of intimidation, Scott, every time I open my cabinet, I get buried in Gretzky rookies. It's embarrassing. It's problematic.
I know.
We shoveled them out of here. Like, please get rid of this.
But I could buy it because I did such good homework and felt comfortable getting the Clemente rookie and Satchel Paige at very good prices. It let me get a better Gretzky that same show.
Right.
But man, I studied before I went to that show because I knew those two cards I wanted, and Gretzky was a hopeful. So
that's fair. So I'll say, folks, if you do want to check out what Big Scott's talking about, he's going to do that on his channel, Talking Live Stream. We're going to hang out here and check out this, which suddenly became a game now. It's interesting. You got San Francisco in the red zone here with a chance to score and potentially tie up this game.
The party's for real.
It's still living. It's still alive. But I'll say the following. Detroit needs to get themselves settled in. They make so much about the great motivator, with the great motivator over there on the bench in Detroit. Well, he needs to settle his guys down and get them calm down. Because here's the thing. Regardless, they still have the opportunity to control this. It's the third quarter.
Samuels come out and said, y'all get them out back. I'll take y'all to promised land in the second half.
Yeah. So right now, almost everything started based on just a bad luck play. It wasn't a bad play that started this whole little run here.
Right. What, the fumble?
Before the fumble, it was the almost catch that bounced off and became an interception. That you can't, Scott. That is something San Francisco drew up. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Purdy just threw that up, and there's McCaffrey, second touchdown of the game.
Yep. So now you got yourself a game. Now it's suddenly got
goal.
Business is picked up. They're glad they took those points before the end of the half, because right now that's what's keeping it tied up.
Yeah, I can use San Francisco to not be this good. I have 5 minutes left on a San Francisco auction. I would like to win.
Well, the sad thing is, Paul, I got to be honest. The last couple of minutes, I don't think it's so much San Francisco being good as Detroit suddenly being really sloppy. Detroit being Detroit. Yeah, it's like a bad bounce and a strips and basically a strip fumble that was just like he just didn't hold on to the ball.
Right. It didn't even look like he ever had it 100%.
Yeah, and it was the right play call. I had no problem with the running. The running was fine. So Scott. Send over the link and I'll check it out and we'll hang out here for a bit and we'll see what happens with the rest of this game.
Yep. All right. And thanks again for having me. Paul's great time again. See you
course.
guys.
Sounds good. Take it easy, Scott. Now business is picked up, Paul.
Yeah, I got about 5 minutes before I go for one of those cards you don't see every day.
Ooh, I'll keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on that. Keep us posted on your progress. Unfortunately, Brett Favre, I was outbid by an increment.
What'd you go on?
I was going after so the last 2 days. There have been two different. I want to make sure I get the year right. Make sure I get the correct one here. So there were two different of the. Let's see, what do we call it? So 06 National Treasures, the timeline, Jersey Auto. So they had one of those out of 10 that finished tonight, and that one went for about 250, 246.
Who is the seller?
It is, I will tell you.
Too much.
Yes, that
Duh.
one. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That guy shills everything.
Well, he shielded himself out of a bid because I was one of the underbidders there on that one. So good luck to him.
There's enough of them that get paid for, but there's just at least 60 or 70% that get shilled.
It's one of those things. I agree with you, but the only thing is, I would say, like, I think one of those things where I look back and I tell them, it's like, look, the price that I put on my snipe was, so when people talk about shield bidding, I'm practicing what I preach. That's always a possibility. But whenever I set whenever I set the snipe, I set it at a number that I can live with no matter what the outcome was. Anything beyond that, I don't give a shit what you guys did. And here's the reality. If I was the underbidder and you shield bid it and you're not going to pay for it, you didn't make a sale. So it's like the meme. You played yourself. If you just played it straight, then probably my bid would have won whatever it was, and I would have paid it, and you would have been fine. But if you want to try to squeeze, you didn't squeeze any more money out of me. I picked the number that I was satisfied with, not a penny more.
Yep, 100%. But he relists items every week, and the things that don't get paid for, he'll relist like a week or so later. So he now knows that, hey, my floor is $100, $200, whatever it is, and goes from there.
Yeah. Well, what's funny though is, and I get what you're saying. The only thing though that I always laugh is that sometimes somebody will make that argument to me. I go, but here's the thing: the next time I see it, if it's the exact same card, I'm going to drop my max bid. I'm going to decrease it. So it's like, so again, you played yourself. If you just let it play out, there's a better chance that you would have gotten the higher number. I will actually decrease it accordingly, where if I win, it would have been less than it would have been if you just let it play out the first time.
Yeah. No, 100%. I got into an argument with a dealer at the National. I'm like, listen, this same exact thing is buy it now for less on eBay, significantly less.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want the sale or not?
Yeah. There's a
And
time
he
to get
moved
cute. I
on.
think some of these sellers are trying to get too cute, and I don't understand why.
Yeah.
So sometimes just let it be. Just let it play out. And if you're not confident in the price, then you should have set a higher min bid.
Yeah. And I waited about 6 months and got it for less than what I was initially even offering him. I'm like, okay, well, you played yourself, homie. Like, not that I'm not behind you on the thought of this vintage football item heading up, but the buy it now is literally less than what you have on the sticker. And that can happen, but I'm offering you like 95% of the sticker price or 95% of the eBay price. Like, what are we arguing about?
Well, I had one of those. I don't know if you were on when I described it, but I had one of those where I was buying one of the cards for the Dennis PC, and it was actually a guy that I was chatting with on Instagram. He had the card, and he had it on eBay initially. It was a little high. We went back and forth, and basically I said to him, "It's like, hey, look, here's my offer. I'm willing to offer you this. I think it was $260. I forget what it was exactly. I can find it, but I think it was somewhere in that range. Whatever." So he goes, "Oh, I'm kind of really want 270. Did you win it?"
I believe so.
Okay. Well, let's let it be official, but then we can speak the words. There you go. Is it official now?
I won because of the change.
Ah. Nice. The extra couple cents.
It is a San Francisco item. Orlando, you're gonna like this.
Sure. All right, hold on here. I'll zoom in so you can see a little bit better. There you go. Joe Montana and the mustache, dude. The mustache.
Wholesome, bread.
There you go. Nice. Nice.
He does that. That is his alternate rookie right there.
Mm-hmm. There you go. But yeah, so the bottom line with that, the story was that I offered, I think, like 260 or whatever it was. The guy was firm. So yeah, Orlando agrees. Very nice, rare piece. Thank you, Orlando. But so basically the guy was really firm on 270, and he'd reached out to me because he wanted to do a deal off eBay, which technically you shouldn't do. Just to be clear, you shouldn't do that. That's a terrible thing to do. But I was willing to entertain it. Let me hear you out. So I made my offer, and he goes, "Oh well, I don't know." And it's like, "Well, let me think about it." It's like, "Well," I said, and my exact words to him, I'm paraphrasing here, but I basically said to him, I said, I'm pretty strong bidder on these. I'm pretty aggressive in the offers that I'll make. My offer will never get better than this offer. I expect that as more of these come out, the price will drop."
Yeah.
Flat out. I just said, if you accept it, I will pay for it. I will honor my number. If you don't want that, then no problem. But then the next time I talk to you, my offer will be lower. So he didn't do anything. A little time went by. It was during the holidays. Holidays ended. The new year came over. It ended up being consigned on eBay. I want it for less than half of my offer.
Yep.
Because it was serial number. I know which card it is. It's serial number. So I know it's the exact same card. So I was sitting there like, so you paid a consigner a fee to get less than half of what I offered you if you had just tried not to squeeze a little extra. You played yourself. I was like, okay, great. I'll accept the difference. Sure.
Yeah.
And some people would be like, oh, but you would have paid so much more. It's like, I agree. But I was prepared for the impatience tax. I was prepared to bid aggressively. But I did say, if that is not going to work for you and you come back to me next time, my price will drop. Because I'm not bidding against myself. The next time we talk, my number will be lower. And it gets lower every time. You wait longer, it gets lower and lower and lower and lower. It doesn't go up.
Yeah. There's somebody at the local show in this area who I did the same thing with, and he stopped me once, and he's like, I thought your offer was $150. Yeah, because I know I'm the only one interested.
Mm-hmm.
And then he eventually consigned it, and I bid $75, and I went for $80. I'm like, oh okay. I mean, I somewhat wanted it, but I kind of like other things also, and because if I have the patience on my side, I'll win Fu Manchu for $30. That's not a lot. I was gonna say, who knows? Maybe I relist it for 100 or best offer and wait for another one. We'll see.
I'm trying to decide if that was a really bad tackle or if Purdy was very lucky in this play here. Trying to decide.
That's not good. I'm not rooting for the Lions, but I would like to see my buddy.
That was pretty good evasion. That wasn't too bad, actually. Not bad.
That's pretty lucky.
Yeah. He basically just kind of ducked. He basically ducked it a little bit on the replay, a little bit clearer, but he ducked it. But I don't know. The field's tilting a little bit. That's why I'm wondering now, like, this is where the coaching staff needs to be like, guys, calm down. Right now, it's a tie game. It's not over by any stretch of the imagination. They need to calm it down because right now they're losing control of the situation.
Yeah. It doesn't feel like Sanford. It feels like Frisco is somewhat hitting their groove, but also in some respects, the Lions are just making mistakes.
Mm-hmm. Well, what I'm saying, so look, I'll put it this way. The way I see it, in the first half, the Lions exploited a lot of mistakes San Francisco made, which is what I was talking about earlier. In this one, the Lions have started making the mistakes, and San Francisco is capitalizing on those mistakes, which is correct. That's what they should do. But that's making San Francisco more comfortable, so now they're making less mistakes. So now, like, the situation is flipped. It's on Detroit to settle themselves down and be like, well, like, you know what? You had a couple bad bounces, a couple of unlucky bounces. It happens. If you still want to win this game, it's still you still got a full quarter and 20 seconds to go. The game is not over. You can still score a couple of times. You can do whatever, get a couple of stops, and suddenly it flips again. But you've got to be prepared to do that. It's mental. And you got to start making sure that your tackles are complete. You can't be doing half-ass tackles and dumb things, and that's not going to work.
I'm surprised that they're not blitzing more. I mean, I know that they're somewhat getting home with 4, but geez.
Well, like I said, that one play that Purdy kind of ducked out of a little bit, like he got to him. He was there. He didn't close. If he had closed, that would have been a great sack. It would have been a great help with the momentum. Right now, they're not playing very smart. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
This has made it a game. Now we were looking at a blowout previously.
Yeah.
Now in this one, it looks like the over is looking pretty good, based on the original number.
So I have a situation here. I have somebody who purchases an item,
Okay.
PWE it.
Mm-hmm.
I package it up. 3 hours later, he buys something else. Do I open that up and just add the item, or like make a whole nother one?
Well, the customer service thing to do would be to do the combined shipping and offer thing. You know what I actually do? What I've actually done, seriously. Well, sorry, you said PWE, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
like
PWE is
the envelope.
Yeah.
It's like, what the hell?
Yeah. It's a nice thing to do if you can, but with a PWE, it's tough. Like I guess it depends on how much the actual auctions were for, because PWE can fall within that range, right? Look, if it's $19.99 and $19.99, that's different than like $3 and $4. Like that makes a difference.
Yeah, it's the cost of the stamp. It's more of just that's annoying as hell. Like,
sure. I think sometimes I would like it if some of these buyers, if they think they might bid on a couple, sometimes they reach out ahead of time and say, "Hey, I'm interested in a couple of items. Would you combine ship?" And the answer is, of course, yeah. And I said, that's fine. And I say to them, if that's the case, then buy your items, whatever items you're looking for. And if you're just about done, then kind of give me a heads up, and I'll give you an invoice, and I'll just fix up the shipping for you.
Yeah.
But let me know so that I know you're done. That way I don't have to redo it like 5 times.
Or if they're the best offer items, you send them all at once or something.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, it's the 5 hours in the middle there where it's like, okay.
Well, that's where the communication like is huge though. Like I'll give you a real situation that happened to me this past week. I had been sending, so when I send stuff stateside, I have 2 options. Option 1 is I can use the eBay subsidized thing. It gives me tracking and all this stuff, which is great, but it's about $7 and change, $8, which is way less than normal Canada Post, which is almost 15. It's obscene. It's a ripoff. It's absurd.
Yeah.
So for a lot of stuff like that doesn't make any sense, and I can't ask somebody to pay that much for it. I charge a certain amount for shipping, which they may think is high, but trust me, it costs me about as much. I can try. Now, this is the important part, in quotation marks. Try in a padded envelope. I can, under the rules, they've got what's called oversized letter mail.
Yep.
Certain dimensions, certain width, certain weight, certain everything. The problem is Canada Post, oversized letter mail is considered to be documents. Now, for years, most of us get away with putting it in a padded envelope and saying, yeah, it's paper. But as soon as it is, and most of the time they look the other way and let it go, and it's like $3.20. Which is not terrible. It's not amazing, but it's not terrible. But here's the problem. If for whatever reason they decide by the letter of the rule, and they know it's not a document because the padded envelope doesn't make sense, it doesn't add up, then they can basically send it back to you. And you're out the postage, and you still have to ship it again. And this time, you have to fill in the customs form. And the moment I fill in the customs form, it's a parcel. And the moment it's a parcel, bring the price right back up. So I actually had, for the first time that I've ever seen, Paul, I think I sent out 10 envelopes a couple weeks ago. I had 7 come back in one shot. And I was like, here's what happens. I've gotten away with it a lot. A lot of us have. So I've got options of what I can do. But the reality is what I do is I say, okay, you know what? Fair enough. I ran out of luck on this one. And I reached out to somebody who would know, and he goes, yeah, a lot, they're starting to crack down a lot. A lot of these are starting to come back in mass bulk. And I say, okay, well, it looks like the gravy train is over. So what do? I redo the envelopes, print out the thing from eBay. It's $7 instead of $3.20. I'm out the difference. I'm actually out $10 per envelope for all of them. But I also message all the buyers. Even if it's a $10 card, I go and I do it for all of them because I'm losing money on a bunch of them. So, but I already made money on so much other stuff that I'm in the aggregate, whatever. But I basically tell them, hey, listen, there was an issue with the post office. I have fixed it and corrected it. You've got a tracking number on your package now, so it'll be a little delayed. My bad, but you've got a tracking number on it if you want to see where it is. And all the folks that came back said, thanks for letting me know. Appreciate the update, whatever. But they got tracking number and everything. I resent it out at my cost. It's my problem. I took a chance and it didn't work out.
Yeah. I got to send a PWE to international, and I'm just like, this isn't worth the effort. So I'm just going to put it on the envelope and put a stamp on it. And here you go.
Like at a certain price, it was worth the risk for a lot of them at a lower price point. A lower price point, it's worth it. It really is. It's worth it. But what happens is, so the situation's changed, but that means that now I have to keep that in mind going forward. But the important part is that, okay, so as soon as that happened, I was like, okay, fine, whatever, fair enough. But I'm going to eat it, but I also let them know. The important part is I let them know, hey, there's going to be a delay because of this, but you've got a tracking number, so you'll know what's going on. Keeping you informed. That's the number one thing, because then at least they can't say, oh, well, there's this delay and he didn't tell us. It's like, dude, you've got tracking number, you got everything. Yeah. And I'll eat it at cost. It's my cost out of my pocket. Your lot was not worth $10. So, but I'll eat it because, hey, it's my fault it happened. So next time I won't make that mistake. But that's okay. That's fine.
Oof. That was a nice hit.
Yep.
That kind of reminded me of the Taylor hit that he put on Montana that one year.
Right. Never making a pick again. You should stop making picks, Eric. Your picks are not good.
Just like the Bruins, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, the Bruins and the Maple Leafs and the Florida Panthers in the same playoff year was actually very impressive. See, Paul, it's actually mathematically impossible to get every playoff pick wrong for any sport in 1 year. And Eric did it. All you have to do to win money is literally whatever he said, go the other way. And that was for series. It wasn't one game playoffs. It was for series. Entire series, he got it wrong.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. But it's mathematically very impressive. It really was. Yep. And Carolina, the Hurricanes. That's right. That was another one. That was a bad one for them too.
Well, I guess we found out that he finished the cookies.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Hopefully they were good cookies. I don't know. They look pretty solid. We need some more details. What kind of cookies are we talking about? Well, all things considered, it looks to me like, what time do you got on the clock there where you are looking at?
They just finished 3rd and 20, so they're trotting on the field.
So you're still a little behind. So they're kicking right now.
Gotcha. I'm assuming he makes this with the length.
Yeah. But still close. But bottom line, still close game. That's kind of what I'm looking at with these guys right now, is that I'm basically saying, like, now I'm curious because they make a lot of the, like I said, the Detroit head coach's name is escaping me right now. I had heard it a bunch of times this week, but I keep forgetting what it is. Thank you, Gamble. So here's the thing. They make out about how a great a motivator he is, how passionate he is, and all this thing. But here's the thing. If you're him and those guys, like, what I need from them right now is he needs to calm them down. Because right now they're in position. All the stuff that just went wrong, this entire last sequence that got San Francisco back in the game, it means nothing if they have a nice drive right now and get 7 points. Because it forces San Francisco to have to do something to respond. There's a right amount of time where a good drive, sustained drive down the field and get 7, you're okay.
I don't think if I were a Lions fan, I don't think I would want to win without adversity. And right now,
Sure.
they're looking it right in the face.
I agree. That's fair. It's all right. I would concur with that. I think it's
I've
made it
watched-
more interesting.
I've watched enough games as an FSU fan where you're just like, all right, this is just who we are. The game's gonna be within one score at the end, and that's that.
Nice.
Lions fans have been losing for so long that I would want to win a slugfest. I don't think I would want a knockout. I would want a slugfest.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. I think that's fair, though. I think it would set them up well because based on the way this year's going, if, again, with the caveats included, if they succeed and get to the Super Bowl, they're looking at a Chiefs team that is flawed, but they get some bullshit going their way. Sometimes stuff will happen, and you have to be prepared for that. Mahomes will get some calls, so you better be comfortable with that notion. You're going to have some moments where you're going to be like, oh my God, really? It's like, yes. You have to be able to accept that. Like, it's going to happen. Just move on. Next play, next drive. Just don't worry about it.
The pass interference, the holding, the phantom, it is what it is.
But that's the thing. If the team is not ready psychologically to deal with that and just move on, go to the next play, that's where you run into trouble. That was like the one thing New England was good at back in the day. Sometimes they had a lot of things go their way, but occasionally the other team would make a bunch of good plays and whatever, and all of a sudden they're like struggling and they'd be like, oh, whatever, fuck it. They would just go back but they would keep hanging in there. It didn't matter. Like, you knew they weren't dead until you killed them.
And then even when we thought that was the case, the Falcons messed around and found out.
Yes, that's right. That's what I say. Like, even if you think you killed them, make sure you killed them. Killed them. Bob Jackson says, if we want to get rich, bet the opposite of whatever X says. It's worked for me so far. I played the clip off the top. As soon as Eric and Bobbles were in alignment about the Taylor Swift problem being resolved, I was like, nay, sirs. Nay. I'm going the other way on this one. The bullshit is real.
Yeah, I'm not going to say that the NFL rigged it or anything, but
Please say it. I love hashtag rigged. Hashtag rigged.
Yeah, I didn't have a whole lot of faith in Baltimore.
Yep. All right, you're going to like this next play, and by that I mean it's another bullshit play. It looks like it's okay, but it was interesting. Interesting is what I'll define it as. See the one I was referring to?
Yeah, that was. I mean, there's at no point where you can call that an interception because he never gets two hands on it with his feet.
Mm-hmm. Now, I will say the following play call right after that was correct and good. A good play call after that.
So they run the ball up the middle for 6 yards?
Not quite up the middle and more than 6 yards, but good solid run. David Montgomery is doing some good work. I would recommend a heavy dose of David Montgomery. He's playing well. He's doing a good job for them. Use him.
Yeah, he's more of an inside runner, and I think the faked out San Francisco.
Almost. That was not bad. That was decent. You have tinfoil in that hat, Paul? We need some tinfoil. It's true.
I'm not Neo. I don't have the tinfoil hat sitting around.
It's true.
Although he does it for comedy, which touche, sir.
Yeah, well, look, here's the thing. A lot of people can criticize Neo for a lot of things. Neo understands at this point what he's doing. He's got a drier way of delivering it. Like, if you guys watch the Friday live stream, like, you know, I'm not spoiling kayfabe here, but we do play it up a little bit, knowing full well what it is that we're doing.
Yeah,
I'll just put it that way. There's plenty of truth in what's going on there. There is underlying truth, but we do amp it up to 11 for sometimes 12 or 13 for the benefit of the audience.
I think if you watch wrestling, you know more of it and you can see more of the kayfabe.
Mhm.
But if you don't watch it, like you kind of don't know.
Yeah, because I will never
Like,
declare, I will never state that I'm not a heel. Oh, I am. Oh, rest assured I am. But like, you know, there's levels to this. There's levels to this.
Yeah. Like if I'm making fun of Dak for liking Houston, like 90% of that is kayfabe, just playing a heel here.
Mhm. Yeah. And that's the thing. I think that that's what I've noticed from a lot of the folks that did they did a lot of the YouTube Hall of Fame thing. There's a lot of folks who kind of watch the live stream and they get it. They're like, yeah, you know what, I enjoy it for what it is. And that's what I'm tuning in for. That's what I expect. And it's like, yep, that's it. That's all you got to do. If you understand, you'll get it. Don't take it too seriously. Would be my recommendation, and you'll be fine.
I mean, we're what? Most of the audience is between 30 and 50, and we're
Thereabouts, yeah.
men,
Pretty strongly skewed in that direction, yeah.
and we're men who pay money for shiny cardboard. Like, there's got to be some element of kayfabe that you throw in there.
Well, plus we're talking about a watch along here for the NFL, which is super rigged. The riggiest of rigged. It's not legit like wrestling. This is this is predetermined outcomes. But we're all watching it together and basking in the experience.
Except if I was gonna say it was what Moxley who got concussed and he dropped the belt mid match, and you had Mercedes drop it to Willow mid match because she got hurt.
It happens sometimes, man. It happens. But I think what's funny is that the old school would have been like, oh, finish the match and finish with the conclusion. It's like you realize then you're going to immediately have to strip them of the title anyway. So like, you're not serving a good purpose. Like you're not helping anybody.
Yeah, I think that's what Moxley actually said. He's like, well, he's been here since we opened, and he deserves it. I know I'm legitimately hurt. Just let it happen.
Yeah.
And Mercedes could feel that her ankle was not going straight. So she's like, well, okay, screw it. Like, if we're scripting a fight, I'm out of the fight because I'm injured. I must lose. And they make the decision that they lose. Like,
well, that's exactly it. A doctor's stoppage or whatever, you can't continue a technical knockout. Those are reasons why the other person wins.
Yeah. I like when wrestling actually plays into real life. Like I never got the whole Corbin sucks thing, like as much as the fans thought he did, because if there were an actual fight besides Lesnar and maybe Reigns, who knocks him out on that roster?
Right.
Like, he played line in the NFL. Okay, maybe Riddle knocks him out also, but who knows? He might have the size advantage. Ooh, big play.
It is. It is. You get a little bit of a giveaway from the look on my face, but you'll see it.
How does he not throw that to? That was interesting.
The thing is, I go back to what I said earlier. Jared Goff, there are quarterbacks in the league who can throw on the run. There are quarterbacks in the league who can throw, but there's not a lot of them. A lot of them cannot do it accurately. They can't do it with arm strength. They can't do it with these. If you're one of the guys that can, that's a weapon that you can use. Jared Goff is not one of those dudes. He needs to set a little bit. He cannot just throw across his body or fade away. It's the same thing happened with Brock Purdy earlier. He tried to make a throw that is uncharacteristic. It worked out for him that time, But if you make a habit of doing that, it's going to work out badly for you because you don't have the arm strength, the accuracy, whatever, to be able to pull that off consistently. Or you're Brett, and you just throw into random shit because you think it's funny. My solution is to throw harder. I'll throw it through the man.
So say,
Yeah.
I'm surprised he didn't hit Williams early on when he was open, but this basically feels like the game here.
I really think if San Francisco, even if they just hold the ball and get 3, I'm not liking Detroit's chances now. Because this past drive was a good opportunity. Like they actually were moving the ball a little bit. It was going okay. I did not like the time of possession thing has completely shifted to San Francisco. They've taken control.
Yeah.
A couple of bad breaks, but San Francisco has continued to pour it on because Detroit is like now playing tight. They're making silly decisions. It's weird.
Yeah, it feels like San Francisco was the one under so much pressure, and they responded. And I don't know why Detroit is not blitzing off one of the edges, trying to make the play themselves.
Yeah. Look, I'll say this. I know a lot of times in sports, we always talk about, oh, this team's jinx, this team's curse. And look, it's fun to talk about. There is an element it's kind of fun bringing in the supernatural element of it. For a lot of these teams and players, I don't buy it. I think it's bullshit because especially if a player has never been around during any of that stuff, it's like, if you're doing your job and you're doing your job, it's okay. You'll be fine. The Boston Red Sox had every horrible thing happen to them a million times until 2004. We had a team of people that didn't give a shit. They played well and they vanquished the Yankees in a classic ALCS. And then what happens? All of a sudden they win and they reel off another couple of World Series in a couple of years there. Stuff happens. But the thing is, the players themselves, I feel like it's the coaches, because I'm looking at the decisions you're making. What are you deciding to do? What are you trying to run? You were doing something so well, it was going well for you. Why did you suddenly stop doing what you were doing because of a couple bad breaks? Why did you change your game plan?
Yeah.
That's coaching. Players will make mistakes. That's okay. But I'm seeing like coaching mistakes, bad tackling suddenly when they were tackling fine. I'm seeing more bad tackling right now. Like that has nothing to do with the curse. That's just you not doing your job properly.
I'm honestly shocked that they have a high safety on this play.
Looks like the Purdy party's almost saved himself.
Yeah, that's unlucky if you're Detroit.
Been a couple of those things now. Starting to turn. It's starting to turn. Hold on. I'll adjust it. Here we go. Second. Let's see. All right. Save and boom. Got it. San Francisco is doing a thing.
That's right. You should invest in San Francisco quarterbacks.
There you go. Especially ones with questionable facial hair.
With the Fu Manchu.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Who knew that one day that man would go on to become the real GOAT? There is no other. The bullshit salesman from New England doesn't count. Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say, how many food or beverage items do you have card wise?
I used to have more, to be honest, because I would accumulate some over time. Really, because I do so many player collections, it only comes up now if the player themselves has a couple of those things. Medano does have a few. Kraft was one that they would have. Score actually produced a card set for, I want to say Kellogg's Corn Flakes. Yeah, it was Kellogg's something. It was in cereal. So they had that. Post was another one that had a lot of cereal again. They would put cards in cereal. Craft was cool because on the side of the craft box, they would have, you could cut it out. So you could have a hand cut, like it was a full card, but they would put it on the side of a craft box. Those are good. And they would have the discs that were in peanut butter jars. So the food issue again. So a lot in the 80s, early mid 90s, and late 90s, a little bit as well. They would have some. I think the last issue that I remember was not a food issue anymore. They did have a Toronto Star set that was in the newspapers. So you could order it by newspaper and they would have a, but it, again, more of a uncommon, more of an oddball type of issue. And that was in 2004, I want to say. So that was like the last era of, we had the McDonald's cards. You could get them with the fries and stuff. That was a big one. Yeah. So those were great. That was when Upper Deck did McDonald's. That was an awesome era because they actually made some nice cards that you could get with 99-cent packs of fries. They were good.
So I have this one also. It's another San Francisco player. Can you name me the food issue and can you name me the player? Very high-end player. Rookie. That's a food item.
Oregon's food item? I genuinely have no idea. If it's San Francisco, I would think like a Jerry Rice something, but I don't know my football issues very well. Yeah, so Jerry Rice is an easy guess. Yeah. Okay, so McDonald's. Nice. So yeah, Jerry Rice would have been my guess for high-end player. So that's a clear play. But all right, McDonald's at 86. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I found that on, that's not the one I have, but I found one on My Slabs. That's a 7.5 for $60 or $70. Like, oh, all right, here's your money.
Mm-hmm.
And because they're all the scratch off ones, half or 2/3 of them are missing the thing that you scratched off for your free fry if you won, and the other, the remaining percentage, I don't know, half of them have some rub off just because it's over the years, it just isn't there. And I'm like, oh, okay, 7.5. It doesn't have rub off on the coin area. Like, yes, I want this one.
Gotcha.
And there's something that even at the national, you don't really see. So I figured it's almost my new litmus test for items. If I can find it easily at the national, it's not that hard to find. It might be expensive, but it's not that hard to find.
Okay. Seems reasonable. So looking at my end right now, we're sitting 10-point game, a little over 2.5 minutes. Converted a first down, so that's good. I got to say, Detroit needs to be a little bit more urgent because they need to score twice now. They don't have a choice.
It feels like San Francisco is just playing quarters, and that's that.
Yeah. Well, now San Francisco has completely flipped the whole script because now they're the ones that get to sit back and let Detroit be overly aggressive. Detroit had that luxury earlier, but they squandered it.
I'm surprised that they haven't gotten anything in the second half. I mean, this game was 24-7 at one point, and they haven't scored since.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it says after they took that field goal, which we agreed with that decision, take the points. It was right. But then after that, they never really, one silly mistake after another, and they never threatened again. Yeah. So this is their chance. I think if they're going to try to make a game out of it, they're going to have to score pretty soon. Leave themselves some time. So they pretty much have to score quickly in order to give themselves a shot at being able to get the ball back.
Yeah. I mean, it is the NFC Championship. You can have onsides that go not the way you were hoping to. Mm-hmm. That one still hurts.
So it's come down a little bit. I can't even say to the wire because it's 2 scores with 2 minutes. So ish. We know they're going to have to do something urgently. If they can get that score quickly, then maybe. At least that makes it interesting.
Yeah, I mean,
But yeah, barring something dramatic, San Francisco got themselves managed to bullshit their way to another one. Detroit completely threw this one away.
yeah, this is one that, as you said before, if you got not knocked out, you just look at it and went, well, if this would have happened or this would have happened, or it could be us.
Mm-hmm. Yep. No, I agree, Joe. Goal, I did not disagree with the premise. Anytime a team gets too concerned, my thing it was the whole point of a lot of people's narratives with Detroit was that the coaching staff was so enthusiastic, they were motivational and everything. It's like all they needed to do was just keep playing. You didn't need to be playing conservative is a bad call. You didn't need to be reckless. You don't need to be reckless. But there's a happy medium in between. You needed to continue to make plays. And if something went wrong, which it did, that means you still need to play consistent. Bad tackling, poor decision making. Yeah. They were in control. San Francisco was one more. So if you remember when we talked about the field goal, they had a chance to get the touchdown if they had played that last sequence a little better. That could have been the knockout shot at that point. Like honestly, if they had gotten the touchdown to go up 28-7, might have been close to the knockout shot. Now we'll never know.
Yeah, but that's complete hindsight, though. You have to kick that. You can't.
In that moment where you were at that stage, you have to take the points. I agree.
Yeah.
But before a couple of plays before that, if they had executed a few of those plays a little better, they actually could have gotten that touchdown. Once they were at where they were in fourth down, you kick it and you get the points. It's just getting you to fourth down, which was the problem. That was the mistake.
It didn't really
All right.
it didn't really seem like Detroit wanted to ever come out of the basic shell that they were in, and it started showing in the second half.
Right. All right. Making a couple of plays. Jared Goff is trying to finish it. All right. I'm going to grab one more refill here. This could get interesting.
That's right. Now with him out of here, I can finally pump the music items that we want. Let's see if we can hear this.
I got wireless headphones. Of course I can hear it. Wireless headphones for the wins, my friend.
Vintage F1 to the moon.
Yeah. I figured you at least take a stab to try a couple, but like I said, wireless headphones for the win. Well, this is one of the upgrades I made to my streaming setup. I always thought it would be a good idea to have the wireless. That way I could step over but even if I go and take a breather and the guys are talking, I can still hear it. So when I come back, I'm not completely lost on what the hell happened.
Nice.
Just makes my life a little easier.
Yeah, I picked up a set of those for PlayStation when my buddies hop on.
Nice.
Not like we play every night, but we'll play most weeknights. We'll play COD, and we suck. We're old, but it is what it is. We have fun.
Right. So I've got 1:10, second and goal from about the 1 is where things sit right now for me.
So he does not make it in there.
He accidentally stepped out of bounds just as he was crossing the 1.
Oh yeah,
that was the issue.
Yeah.
So that's what it was. It was just a footing issue. All right, throws it out, third and goal, same spot, minute 5. And now we wait. The thing is, like I said, the third and goal, it's 4 down territory, so you're going to do whatever you're going to do. But the key is just don't be reckless. You need this touchdown. You need these points. Because either way, no matter what, you're going to have to probably kick an onside. You need to give yourself the ball one more time, no matter what. But you need these points now.
I mean, even having 3 timeouts, you're probably onsiding it.
Stuffed on third. 1 minute. 4th and goal.
Did they actually run here?
They run.
Oof. So they got to take a timeout too.
So now here's the question.
Wow,
1 minute left. 1 minute left, 4th and goal, and you actually went backwards a couple of yards. Do you kick the field goal and do the onside? I understand where you are, but you literally need the points and you need to immediately try to get the ball back no matter what. So you're fourth down, you throw it, and
You can't.
it's a
run
tough
the
one.
football there.
I don't like the play call. Again, I go back to coaching here. I don't like the play call, but my question, I'm almost like, I understand that they're probably going to have to try to get the touchdown now, but I'm almost like, the thing is, the problem is you need both. You need a field goal and a touchdown just to tie,
Yeah.
no matter what.
You can't run the football there just because you have to take the timeout, which takes it out of getting the football back if you miss the onsider.
All right. Just when Jared Goff thought he was doomed, he totally redeems himself. All right. So the +7.5 is still alive. Still alive.
They kick the onsider and the guy runs it in for 6. Ooh.
That would be bad. That would be very bad.
Duffman did not see that one.
Nope. Good on you for getting that I was going down the road of Duffman. Good on you. I had to add a little rasp just to make it kind of work, but that's about right. All right. 3-point game. 3-point game, 56 seconds. We know what comes next. So you either get it or you don't. But +7.5 still pays.
They don't go for 2 here, right?
No.
I was gonna say they gotta kick the extra.
No.
point.
They kick the PAT. They kick the PAT, and right now it's a 3-pointer. 3-point. That's what they do. It's the correct move right now. Now you have to play for the tie. You don't. You had your chance, or you had your chance before you let San Francisco get up by 10. You should have been thinking about that prior. All the mistakes that compounded to this point put you in this situation. You're going to need one really great play here just to give yourself a shot. And with the time left, field goal range is doable if you can somehow get the ball back. But you got to get back immediately.
Yeah, this is why you can't run it on third, because at least if you have all 3 timeouts, you can maybe go down the field in 35 seconds.
Yep. There's a lot of mistakes here that are compounding here in the latter portion of this game. I'm just not a fan of basically the way they approached the entire second half. Almost everything about it was like all wrong for Detroit. And they were doing so well. It's like they suddenly forgot what got them into that position, that they were doing well. I guess the irony is I'm back to almost the Green Bay discussion. Nothing San Francisco did impressed me. All I saw was Detroit falling over themselves, tripping over their own shoelaces, slipping on a banana peel at every turn, and making it hard.
Yeah.
I guess the good news for San Francisco, despite my looking at them and not being convinced, Kansas City doesn't convince me either.
Yeah.
So realistically, that should be a pretty fair fight in theory, at least on paper. Both teams have some warts, but they're going to play each other, so it's pretty even.
I still think that San Francisco wins that game, despite San Francisco.
It's possible. It's possible.
Issues.
Yeah. Oh, that was interesting. That almost became really interesting. So San Francisco does recover that one, but it was interesting. It is interesting. Yeah, Stu, lucky bounce turned the game around. I honestly think that play where it bounced off the Detroit receiver and San Francisco, and the guy managed to catch it after diving for it, that was huge. Huge.
All right, so they got 53 seconds. They're going to punt the ball with 5 seconds, maybe.
And that's if you execute your timeouts perfectly and you do something. Well, you've only got 2 timeouts. Can you actually stop the clock enough? I don't think so. Can you?
40-second play clock. So the 3 plays are going to be 3 seconds. I mean, I would almost just kneel the football at this point.
Well, I think San Francisco can afford to. They're in a position to be able to. I'm pretty sure they can. I don't think with 2 timeouts Detroit can do enough to stop them.
I mean, they're going to have to punt it or heave it, but you're probably looking at 5 seconds or less.
All right, so they made the clock 56, so they gave him 3 more seconds.
All right, so at 57 seconds, maybe. I mean, because I would kneel it after basically shuffling for a couple seconds. The timeout happens immediately after. You run the same thing. You run the same thing on third. Punt it away with 4 seconds, 5 seconds, 6. Who knows? Maybe you just shuffle around and then you throw it away thinking you can get 4 seconds off. But I'm not even handing this ball off.
They hand it off.
Okay.
Get a couple of yards, second down. So your second timeout is now 49 seconds. Oh, 51. Knocked it up to a couple of seconds.
Yeah, I'm surprised that they're actually handing this ball off.
I think they knew they needed a couple more seconds, so I understood on first down you're trying to get a couple extra seconds. I do get it. As I said, the timing was wonky. It was very silly. Second handoff.
That's honestly shocking.
Mm.
Because they can
like to tempt fate. Yeah, they like to tempt fate. So the final Brock Purdy stat line looks okay. I got to be honest, it's very flattering. 267 yards, 1 touchdown, one interception, 20 completions. It looks good, but that wasn't the game I watched.
He's not the reason that they're ahead.
No, it's not. Source are stupid. Well, didn't you pick San Francisco, Eric? I don't know what you're complaining about. What's up, Bravos? Yep. Paul said sell me some Fred Warner autos. There you go.
I don't have any, actually.
Oh, okay. Wow, third straight handoff. They don't like Paul's play calling. Dang. Now, obviously, there is no requirement. There's no more timeouts. So
There's
while the play clock doesn't quit, it's 4th and 6. The play clock is just behind the game clock. I think it's like 1 second. Or at least that's what it shows on the graphic. I guess you take the 5 yards and you punt with a second left. So
no. You don't punt this, you throw it into the stands.
That's true. Yeah, you could do that.
Shotgun formation, hike, and throw it over the receiver's head. Ethel in the third row seems like a nice receiver. She'll catch it. Timeout.
Yeah. So delay game, 1 second. Last play of the game. Here you go. Bravo says, who you guys have for the Super Bowl? So it appears we have the San Francisco 49ers taking on the Kansas City Taylor Swifts. Who we got, Paul?
I bet San Francisco.
All right, San Francisco. Joel's got can't bet against Mahomes. All right. Let me ask you a more interesting question. Purdy kneels to give it over on downs. Final. Which is fine. You know, he took a step back and kneeled. Timeout. Game over. So fair enough. Okay, so 2 questions I got for you. And we'll start winding her down because I'll probably pop into Scott's and say hello and chat for a little bit. All right. So first of all, Paul, thank you for joining. I appreciate you. It was fun. I think I'm leaving it open ended, but I think for the Super Bowl, most people will be watching on the thing. Although I have enjoyed these, I got to be honest, I have had a good time just hanging out and watching them. But I think for the Super Bowl, most people are off doing their own thing anyway. But we'll see. Stuckey's got the Swifties over the 49ers. All right. Betting versus Mahomes, starting to feel like betting against Brady. Well, this will be his 4th Super Bowl appearance. 6 AFC championships, 4th Super Bowl appearance. At this stage in his career, very impressive. Very impressive. All right. So question number 1. how badly does this rank on the Detroit, psyche, that this was a game that they had well in control, and it really took a bunch of gaffes, bad luck, some bad bounces, and some stupidity. Frankly, there was some stupidity there to lose it. This team was playing well. They really were. Even in this game, they were playing extremely well.
I was gonna say I'm trying to think of a more devastating loss in the city of the hit or in the history of the city. And
I think what's worse for them. So, Paul, I'll put it this way, though. Let me throw this at you. It goes back to what I said earlier. Every single team, say most of them in the last 8, when this year is over and they're sitting there in a quiet moment, they're going to be like, "Holy shit, we all had a chance, like a real chance, not like maybe." No. With these teams as they were compiled, we had a real chance.
Yeah.
Because nobody really dominated. Nobody looked. San Francisco scraped by here to win this one. It took a couple of good bounces. Kansas City, there was some messed up stuff going on there. And both those teams, those are the teams in the Super Bowl. Lions are going to look at it. Missed catches, bad bounces, mistakes that you didn't have to make, bad play calls. Green Bay could have been the San Francisco team. Like, there's so many teams that could be like, wait a minute, we screwed up. We missed this completely. We whiffed. Why did we do that?
I
KC
think it's
in the over. All right.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think it's gonna hurt more just because they haven't won anything since Bobby Lane was like. Because I mean, they never really had a NBA basketball. I don't think they've had a loss like this, maybe ever. I mean, Red Wings have enough ships to where maybe the Crosby one hurts more. But I think the Lions, I think you'd rather have the Lions win this than have the Red Wings win their, I don't know, 5th or 6th or 7th within that little stretch there.
I think so. I'll pose this to you. I think the biggest problem right now with the Detroit Lions situation is that because the NFL has the Super Bowl era and pre-Super Bowl era, even though the Lions can go back pre-Super Bowl history to talk about moments, it still is football. We've talked about this in the Discord before. Football may as well be 3 or 4 distinct sports. There's like the early days of football. That's kind of one thing. Then there's like, we're getting close to the modern era, getting close into the 50s and 60s, but it's still different than the Super Bowl era. It all counts. We count the championships, yes, but the Super Bowl era feels different. So if you have not had the Lions have not made a Super Bowl ever. And they've been around the whole time. And they were around before the Super Bowl era, and they have not made a single Super Bowl ever. And that hurts. There's not a lot of teams that Jacksonville has made a Super Bowl. Like, it hurts that these teams have not. Well, actually, Jacksonville might have been on the outside. Maybe it was an AFC championship. But regardless,
Jacksonville never did.
Wait, didn't Jake Delhomme lose to Brady in one of those? Am I wrong? No, it was an AFC championship. Sorry, it was an AFC championship.
Panthers, he did.
Carolina, sorry, yes, that's right. It was Carolina, yeah. So there's 4 teams, regardless, I forget. There's 4 teams that have not made the Super Bowl. And the Lions are one of them, and they're a team that has been around since before that. Regardless, for a team that's been around that long, that hurts them.
Jacksonville, Houston.
The Lions.
Yeah.
And one more.
Lions.
And there's one more. I don't remember who the 4th one is, but there's one more. Detroit lost in 41-10 in the NFC Championship. It was a close game at least. That's right. Pistons took some hard L's versus Chicago. Yes. Carolina made it to Super Bowl. Yes. My bad on that one. Michael Hamm, the Lions, they did. I agree. They did. They actually had this game. They did have control of it at one point. At the end of the second half, going into the half, they were in control. So I agree, Ham.
Who's the 4th who didn't make it?
Let's see. Teams never to play in Super Bowl. I will find it. Cleveland Browns. Those are your 4 teams. Yep. So, but like I said, the Cleveland Browns technically moved to Baltimore and won a couple of Super Bowls, but the other Cleveland Browns, no. But that other Cleveland Browns didn't exist until 99. So I have to treat it a little bit differently. So regardless, so the problem is the Lions sit alone. All these other teams did not exist for decades before the Lions, and the Lions have still not made the Super. They can't compare themselves to the Browns, the current Browns, the Jaguars, or the Houston Texans. They can't. It's not fair comparison. Here's my second question.
Won't be in the future when Stroud misses the Super Bowl every year, and Dakota's not going to watch this anyway. So,
So here's my second question. All right. So we've got the game that's going to come up. So now, given what we've seen from both of these teams, what do you think? What's your guess on what the early line is? I haven't looked. I'm not cheating. I'm not looking at anything. What do you think the early line would be? San Francisco and KC. Kind of wonky for me. I just don't know where I feel it would fit here. I just don't know.
KC -3, probably.
I almost feel like San Francisco will get the edge there. I know Mahomes, but like San Francisco does feel like a more complete team, even though like I said, we've talked about warts here. Like, I don't feel great about either one of these teams, but one of them has to win. So I don't know. I guess we'll be looking at prop bets. Over under Taylor Swift appearances on TV. Does Taylor Swift suddenly randomly enter the halftime show and join Usher for a duet? I don't know. I don't know what to tell you guys. We'll have to see, I guess. But anyway.
The over under on the national anthem.
That'll be a good one. Yes.
I was
There
going to say,
you go. Philly Joe says KC +4.5.
Yep, the over under on the
Plus-
national anthem.
That'll be a good one. We'll have a week here, so we'll definitely have to talk some prop bets. There'll definitely be a little bit of that. Anyway, all right. So, folks, what I'll say is this: we'll wind her down on that. It's been a lot of fun to hang out. I appreciate those of you that have been joining in the chat and everything else. I appreciate Paul. I appreciate Big Scott for joining in and hanging out as well. If you do want to check out something, Big Scott should be live on his channel. So it's big, but the I is a 1. So if you check out Big B #1 G Scott 35 altogether, he's going to be having a live stream going on right now, and I'll probably be joining over there in a couple of minutes and hanging out. But it's been a lot of fun hanging out with you the last couple of weeks. So I do appreciate you guys doing that. It's been a good time. And also, again, I thank Paul. Paul, thank you for your astute observations on this football watching.
It was fun. And San Francisco's favored by 2 points on Bovada.
Gotcha. All right. Interesting. I'll have to give it some serious thought. We'll have to see. Look, the important thing, Paul, if nothing else, the important thing is Green Bay didn't go as far as we wanted, but they performed well. We appreciated that. And the important part is this. I and others were correct. +7.5 was good, baby. +7.5. Let's go. We don't care who wins when we go +7.5.
I got more money for the eBays.
There you go. Eric's not injured yourself. There you go. That's right. All right, folks. Appreciate you, Philly Joe, Bob Jackson, Zach, Michael Ham, brief appearance there. Appreciate you, Joel. Thank you. Stuke, thank you. And everybody else that joined in the chat. It's been a lot of fun. Like I said, I don't expect anything for the Super Bowl weekend. I'll probably do a post game though. Here's what I'll guarantee. The last couple of years I've done a post game. So at the bare minimum, I will do a post game for sure. And then we'll play it by ear from there. But post game for sure, I'll definitely do something. We'll see what happens with this one. But that's it for this time around. More videos coming up on the channel. Live streams generally on Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Hang out and talk bullshit. There'll be a podcast episode tomorrow where we'll make fun of Eric and his general wrongness. And we'll go from there. Have yourselves a good one. Take it easy.